Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars.
So you got your cuppa to keep you going, or you said you're drinking water?
Yeah, just drink water, mate.
That's good for you.
Yeah. My wife keeps telling me if I drink too much, though, I might drown myself. But all good, all good. Got to die
Yeah.
of something, right?
Well, I've watched the advanced athletes because I like to pretend I'm an athlete occasionally. I'm the exact opposite, right?
Yeah,
And it's like you got to drink those electrolytes with your water if you're pushing yourself, if you're
yeah.
sweating everything out. You got to
Oh,
keep them
100%.
replenished.
Yeah, definitely.
And I prefer to drink water most of the time, but if it's really hot and it's like I know it's not going to replenish my thirst, but a soft drink really feels better than water sometimes.
Yeah, the problem is that my wife likes the no sugar, so I've gotten into drinking that. So I grab one and I think I'll get a sugar hit, and then it's not sugar. But
I do that too. I go for the no sugar one, so at least
yeah.
it's kind of like water.
Yeah, true, true. I'm sure there's plenty of nasties in it though to cover for not having sugar. But
Oh yeah, I get told that all the time. You know that's worse for you than sugar, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, it's not. It is nasty, but it's not worse than sugar.
yeah, 100%, 100%. So apparently they're doing a lot of studies lately that are proving cancer's connected to sugar. So who knows? Who knows?
Well, I've heard some studies along those lines, and I'm going to preface this with a big don't believe anything you hear here. And if it triggers you, I'm sorry, but I know
Yeah,
people who've died and they've had cancer and done everything right, and
yeah.
it's just totally proved everything wrong,
Oh, yeah.
like all this sort of stuff. But going back to what you're saying, I have seen studies which suggest that the cancer feeds off the sugar in your body. So
Yeah.
if you reduce the amount of sugar in your body, then that reduces the potential for the cancer to grow. However, the proof is not going to support it from what I've seen.
Yeah. Oh, but that's the thing, Every time you turn on the TV, something else is causing cancer these days anyway. So
Yeah. I'd like to think that making healthy choices before you have cancer minimizes the likelihood that you get cancer.
oh, I'd say, that sounds like a smart thing to do. That's for sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know family members who have died and they've done everything right. And it's like, okay, you
Yeah, well, yeah.
can't always be right.
No, that's right. I don't know. She'd never got sick, always on the bounce, and then, within 6 weeks of being diagnosed with, what was it, pneumonia, she died from a pretty aggressive cancer. So,
Wow. Yeah.
and that took everyone because she'd be at soccer every weekend, doing everything for the family, never took a day off sick, and then boom, it got
Yeah.
her, and it took her really quickly. So, what do you do? What do you do?
I think I'd rather go quickly. If I found I had a terminal diagnosis, it'd be like, all right, if you've got, say, 6 months to go and try every remedy,
Yeah.
that'd be so much worse than being like 3 weeks later gone.
Definitely, especially if you thought you were in remission and then it came back and
Yep.
you fought the battle. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, this is a really macabre topic to start our interview with.
I'm always told that I come up with stuff, or things go wrong for me that people have never seen before. So I'm used to the thirst for things. So,
Well,
all good.
we've got to spice up the dungeon today because
Yeah,
we're going to tell everybody that they should be cutting grass weekly. And I know that we're going to get some pushback from that, but bring it on, I say.
100%. Like I had the luck of working for a business for 10 years that did fortnightly cutting.
Yeah.
And you miss a day because of rain, or you want to take holidays, and
Yeah.
then you got to try and catch up for it, and you've already got a full schedule, and it's like, where do you squeeze it in? And to me, that was my premise at the beginning, but then I realized, on the flip side, it's so much better for the lawn as well.
Yeah.
And it grows thicker. You get more lateral growth rather than
Vertical.
growth, and therefore it's a lot healthier. It keeps the soil, moisture higher because it's blocking it in, and you get less
Yep.
weeds as well. So
Yeah.
like, you can come at us about saying that it's better to mow fortnightly, but I'll stick to my weekly.
Well, I know I'm going to trigger you by saying this, but if you mow weekly, you can mulch the grass and you can do a really good job. If you're mowing fortnightly and one thing goes wrong, you can't do it.
To me, yeah, it's look. I'm one of those ones. You do what you want to do. I've always been what do you call it, catcher, because that's what I've done. So, but I've never had experience with a proper mulching machine, and because I haven't had that opportunity, it's like I don't want to jump into buying one and then realise it's not for me. But you mulch, you mulch. I've got nothing against it. My ride-ons and my stand-ons mulch anyway, so it's not like I don't do it.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
but yeah,
and it's different needs, different courses.
100%.
I've got total respect for you using the cylinder mower and catching and doing what works well for you.
Yep. Oh, look, if you get it right, it comes up good, but it takes time. My grandmother's lawn, I've put that through bloody hell, but but it's also been my testing zone too. I'll test so many things on it. I'll try different rates of chemicals, and I've burnt it to close to being dead that many times, but and it always comes back. So
yeah, I know the old urea is really good for burning it.
100%.
I had half a bag of urea sitting in my shed that I didn't even purchase.
Yep.
It was just sitting there, and I was like, all right, I'm going to throw a little bit out. And I threw a handful out in front of the shed. And it turned out so green, like really nice, rich green. The rest of the lawn looked embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, I've got half a bag there. I went and threw the rest of the bag out over the yard.
Yep.
You know what happened, but for people listening, there was a lot of brown grass in my yard.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I find it speeds up your growth at first, but then it just dies after that. It's so you can get convinced sometimes, I did the right thing, but then all of a sudden, next minute, you've lost it. So
that's right. So there's better methods I've got for making my grass look lush and green than urea, but it serves a purpose.
Definitely. It can help. I've found a cheap way is just to use a bit of liquid iron too. That can help with getting
liquid iron's really good for changing the colour, isn't it? It really greens it straight away.
You've just got to get it right as well, and that's one that I got wrong on my grandmother's lawn. I put a bit too much, not thinking what I was. No, I had some in squeeze bottles and I didn't label it, and so I got the wrong thing. So I thought it was my liquid fertilizer, and I put it in at that rate instead of we call it liquid iron. And I learnt pretty quickly after that. So do not leave things unlabeled and forget about it. So
you would have had no moss left in your lawn.
No, did not. So there's one spot out the back where every winter it gets shade all winter, so it just dies out. First it gets the fungal disease, and then it just becomes dead for a whole 3 months, and it gets moss. So it's a quick way to get rid of it. Just put a bit of liquid iron on it.
I remember growing up, we lived on 2.5 acres, and we mowed 2 acres of grass.
Yeah.
And the south side of the house always had moss growing in the grass.
Yeah.
And so when I started doing this professionally and started coming across other people giving advice, it was the guys in America that actually started talking about it, and drew me straight back to my childhood. I'm like, oh man, wish I'd known that.
I find even in like your crushed granite footpaths, it tends to get a lot of moss and that in it as well, and tennis courts. So you don't really want to be putting chlorine down and that sort of thing in areas that are a little bit sensitive. So going for something like that might be something for people to look at and consider.
Yeah, definitely. So we need to introduce you properly. We'd go on for 10 minutes or something. Let's give people a bit of an intro into who you are. So your name's Guy Vassallo. I want to interrupt this introduction to talk to you about my friend Prez Madley. His best contact is thinktankcoaching@outlook.com. Now, I'm always getting asked questions about equipment, staff, knowing your numbers, making a new business work. Well, Prez takes it to the next level with KPI and business evaluations and doing a deeper look into the value of your business. So contact him on thinktankcoaching@outlook.com. So your name's Guy Vassallo?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And you are in Western Sydney?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Western Sydney. Yeah. I think
Northwest?
But it all used to always just be Western Sydney, but now people are starting to to divide it up. So, you know.
Yeah, I know a few guys in Southwest. So we'll mention Dirk at the moment,
Yeah.
Dirk Streifkirk, and have a bit of a laugh. He's not good enough to be in the Northwest.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm going to wait for the backlash on that one.
The joys, eh? The joys.
Yeah. So I was just talking to a lady a couple of days ago that was from out around Penrith, and
Yep.
yeah, it was an interesting story she was telling. But what's your location by comparison to Penrith?
So I'm at Kellyville Ridge, so I'm like 20 minutes from there. 20.
So you're in between Penrith and Para.
Yeah, pretty
Close to
much.
Para.
Yeah, like I'm one postcode away from being in the hills.
Fair
Just
enough.
the main road separating me from being in the hills.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's all about the suburb you live in to identify how good you are, right?
Yeah, 100%, right? So still in the Blacktown Council. So
Before LMCA started up, I was mowing long before LMCA started up, but my friend and I are both mowing in this area.
yeah,
And he says, we should stop trying to get work in Coorambong, Lake Macquarie, and go down to Sydney because they get over $100 an hour.
no way. It's part and parcel. You know, you can pull that on certain jobs, but I think it's like anywhere. You're not going to get that from everyone and from every job either. So
Yeah.
But you look at those. If you remember that chick who was on social media ages ago, she was a traffic controller, and she was talking about how she got $3,500 for 1 week, but then she got asked, well, how much did you make for the month? Oh, that was all I made because I only had the one job. So it balances out. Yeah.
I love talking about that because I'm always telling people, what do you make per hour, per day, per week, per month, per year?
Yeah.
Because if you say, I made $1,500 in a day, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But does that mean that you made $500,000 for the year?
Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's tell the full story.
Yeah,
and
exactly
it's
right.
not just to criticize the person, but it's to help them have a reality check and go, okay, you want to make sure that your goals financially are lining up in every aspect and actually achieving what you want to achieve.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's, I guess, they talk about businesses die pretty quickly because they're not keeping on top of their books. But at the same time, half the time, I know I'm bad at making sure that I'm keeping on top of what's coming in and coming out. But I've just had that luck; it's always coming in. So I haven't had to worry about checking it. But it can get you into a lot of trouble if you don't know. If you're not keeping on top of it and realizing where things are going, it can get pretty hairy. That's for sure.
Well, I think the beauty of checking on it is that once you know that you've got a margin there, you can relax a little bit.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, which
you
is
can
probably
go, okay,
where I'm at.
I know every job that I'm doing is profitable. It's not just paying a wage, but it's profitable.
Yeah.
Then you can relax a little bit. You need to go back and check on it occasionally.
Yeah,
but
definitely. I guess come tax time and other stages, I do periodically do check on things. So but that's the thing. It's funny that I watch the questions and everything that come up on social media, and it just makes me reflect that I buy a piece of machinery and I never think about, oh shit, that's a $500 mower, or that's a $20,000 mower. I look at it as it's going to allow me to make money, support my family, and whatever it costs, that first 500, 20 grand or whatever I make is now paid off the machine.
Yeah.
So then for me, I never think about that. So, even when it comes into quoting and talking about what my prices are, the cost of my machinery never comes into my mind as a factor of going, oh, well, I'm using this. It's not productivity of the machine, my experience, and what I can achieve. And so I just feel like I get a better response from customers because I'm giving them what they want to hear and not what they don't want to hear, if that makes sense.
I'm almost the exact opposite to you there.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I look at a quote and I'm going, okay, if I'm using the Ego Select car, that's a sub $2,000 mower. If I'm using the 42-inch Stander, that's almost $20,000 mower. So 10 times the price of the mower.
Yep.
I need to make sure that like you say, the productivity of the machine reflects the price.
Yeah.
But then I look at it and go, okay, am I doing the same job? Because if I'm doing the same job with the Ego or with the Stander,
Yeah.
the Stander Eye 42-inch should be able to make exactly the same money as the Ego Select Cut on that same job. I shouldn't be charging the customer extra for the job just because I'm using a different piece of machinery.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
And vice versa, I shouldn't be doing it cheap
Yeah.
because I'm using a more productive piece of machinery.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Exactly. I won't disagree with you there. Not at all.
Yeah.
So,
And I know that there's a lot of places where that's not going to be true.
Yeah.
You look at the difference between, and you would see this where you're working, right? But
Yeah.
some people just specialize in doing 200 square meters of lawn and 300 square meters of lawn, and they're doing little residential patches where there's a roadside verge on one property and a tiny backyard on the next property.
Yeah.
So those jobs, they're going to be commanding the same amount of money.
Yeah.
That sort of $80 to $120 that you can probably get in my area doing a quarter acre block.
Yeah, and that's the thing, but I think, like I've got a mix of everything, your 200 square metres, your 5 acres, your commercial. I prefer to be on my commercial and my 5 acre, 10 acre properties, doing one, not having to move around, a lot more to it, and you won't see your customer all day, even though, they're probably home, but they're on such a big property, you don't even see them. But you also don't get where they're in your ear and what do you call it, want to have a chat to you either.
That's right.
So they just leave you alone, and then they pay your bill and they're happy with what you've done, even if they can't see what you've done. They know that you've done something. So,
That's right. So there's horses for courses. People in different environments are not going to get exactly the same rates because you're dealing with different types of customers.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, but that's the thing, you've also got to know your target market too. You can't get frustrated, if you can't get, the dollar figure that, you can get off one customer. If you're then going and try and chasing the customer who only wants to pay $20, you're never going to bring them up to be the $100 customer.
That's right.
You got to let them go, and move on. Or you've got to realize that you are trying to chase something that you're never going to get and find a better way to, make your money rather than, get stuck in somewhere where you're just not going to get anywhere with. So
I had that with a particular residential customer. This is going back years now, but I went and quoted their lawn at $80 and I was like, all right, it should be a 35, 40-minute job.
Yep.
Then I'm going to be happy with that. About 4 years ago, it would have been. And after I mowed it, I went back to them and I said, hey, look, I'm really sorry I've messed up here. What we're looking at is that you need to have weekly cutting instead of fortnightly cutting.
Yeah.
And some jobs in my area I would do fortnightly, and some jobs I would say, no, that's not going to work. And it just simply was too much effort to do a fortnightly cut. It was not practical. So I sold them, same price, but weekly. And they said, no, we won't do it. I was like, okay, see you later. Find somebody else.
Absolutely. And that's a fair call. Like you can't force someone, but at the same time, you got to realize, okay, that's not the customer for me. It's going to do more detriment to you and your business than it is to them to try and make it work. You're either going to be cutting a fortnightly lawn that should be cut a week and you're going to struggle, lose time when you could be making money elsewhere, or, you're going to, end up just creating problems later on when you're forcing it onto them and then they're not happy and they put out a bad word against you.
I noticed this week, Leroy, I don't know if you know Leroy, Lawns by Leroy, he's announced he might do some merch, and I'm like, yes, do it. I want the mug. But I think
I reckon he put out some good merch, that's for sure.
The merch has got a picture of him with a cigarette in his mouth, and the last guy printed above him, and then something about being a cowboy below it, and I was like, perfect.
Actually, I think I saw that. Yep, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, that customer that didn't want to go to weekly mowing, I should have said, here you are.
I love it. Just start handing out his business card.
Yep.
He might offer some extra services to get him across the line.
Look, I think Leroy needs to put that merch out. So if you're listening, Leroy, put it out now. We're waiting.
Love it.
So let's talk a little bit more about weekly cuts, because I like talking about this and I'm a bit passionate about it. I would say in Australia, if you mow your own lawn, there's every chance you mow weekly. And if you're passionate about it, you probably mow 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But if you are paying somebody to do your lawn, for some reason, it seems like the rite of passage in Australia is fortnightly cuts. And you go to America, it's weekly cuts. You go to somewhere else in America, there are a couple of spots where they do bi-weekly, is what they call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in Australia, it seems the divide really comes down to who's paying for it. And
Yeah.
I found quite a few years ago, I had 1 or 2 customers approaching me and saying, "Can you mow my lawn weekly?" And I was used to mowing my own lawn weekly, so I was like, "That's perfect. Of course,
Yeah.
I can do that."
Yeah.
And then, the high-end customers are like, "Well, yeah, we want weekly. We want you to catch the grass around the yard. Not so worried about the back paddock, but we want this and we want that."
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? I want every customer to be just like you.
100%. And that's it. I think, it does. It comes down to, people, who appreciate the way their lawn looks. They're there constantly. I get customers who ring. I've been there 2 days before. We've had a bit of rain, and they go, "Oh, we're watching the grass grow. Can you come again?" So
Yeah.
yep, that's going to happen. You're not watering with water out of the tap that's got fluoride in it. You're getting rainwater that's got nitrogen in it, and it's going to
Yeah.
speed up that grass. And it's like, oh yeah. Can you come again? Oh, well, let me see how I go. If at the end of the day I've got time, I'll come and do it. Otherwise, nah, sorry. But it is.
We had a storm roll in last night, and I was out my whippersnipping around my own yard, and I heard the crack of thunder, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that water's going to be great."
Yeah. Oh, 100%, 100%. And that's the thing. I think you find quite often if we don't get a lot of rain at all, that first drop of rain won't do much. But if you get that second hit, that's when lawns start to respond to it.
The thing that caught my attention was just the fact that there was lightning and thunder, and I'm like, that increases that nitrogen in the rainwater.
Yeah, because it's just activating the nutrients in the water. So
I was pretty happy with that.
All the atoms, whatever they call it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure exactly the science behind it, but the amount of nitrogen in the water, I think when you have a thunderstorm, it increases the amount of nitrogen in the water.
There you go.
I don't know the science, so.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there'd be a lot behind it. There might be someone that might listen who'd know a bit about it, but
yeah, I'm sure I've heard something about it somewhere, but I don't have a source to quote, so I'll get shot down for it. But the weekly cuts, like you said before, it means that you're encouraging more lateral growth. You're reducing the amount of vertical growth that you get. I find if I'm not doing weekly and leaving it until fortnightly, you can get away with it. But when you get a rain day or a storm or an area which has got higher growth than another area, at fortnightly cuts, you really notice that. And particularly for me, preferring mulching.
Yeah.
If it's the right kind of lawn, fortnightly you go over it and mulch it and it looks perfect. But if you've got an area that's got shade, an area that's got high sunshine, an area that used to be a veggie garden, so it's got a lot more nutrition in the soil, all those sorts of things, you turn up to mow that lawn at fortnightly, and some of it looks like it doesn't need cutting, and other parts look like they are a foot tall.
Yeah, 100%.
When you bring it forward to weekly cuts, then that lawn is totally manageable, and you can mulch it without it being a problem. It looks good. It looks like it's been caught even. But the difference can make or break the amount of effort it takes to mow and the potential to do damage to the lawn. I know my lawn this week, when I was out there whippersnipping, it's because it's growing that fast after a little bit of rain that we've had, and my wife found an army grub in the grass.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I was like, I got to cut that back down before those army grubs find the perfect environment, that slightly thicker, more lush grass that they can thrive in.
Definitely. And I think that's what I've found, the more you invest into your lawn and the better it looks, the more susceptible you are to pests and all that. It's normally you'd think, something's struggling, that's when a pest is going to attack it when it's down. But it's the total opposite with lawns. The healthier it is, the more you face with dealing with pests. So
That's it.
I've taken, I've been attacked on one of the pages before when I've turned around and said, I'm regularly, twice a year I'm putting down a celebrant, and people are like, oh, why are you doing it through winter? There's no pests. Well, it's been proven, and I've gone through it where you can get pests that attack through winter. It's just different pests,
Yep.
And I've seen customers in the St Ives area that tennis courts that were completely wiped out in winter, and it's like, okay,
That's
so
harsh.
now you just constantly every 5 months I'm putting out that aceleprant, and it's just keeping up that protection, so I don't even have to think about oh shit, I've got to go and protect that lawn now because I'm starting to see that, a bit of activity. It's just already out there. Don't have to think about it. Got it in my calendar. It's time to apply again. And
I've never done the proactive treatments with a celebrant.
Yeah.
I've always been reactive with doing an insecticide treatment when I can see damage.
Yeah, fair enough.
The fact that I've been putting in the effort with my lawn at the moment, and then my wife says, "Is this an army grub?" And I'm like, "Oh man."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, that I'm wishing I had a celebrant there."
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, I should be more proactive there because I am pushing my lawn to be a little bit better. I always has, but it's just at the moment I'm going, all right, I'm trying to manage the height of cut based on the fact that we were hitting drought, and then all of a sudden we got flat out rain, and it's like, perfect storm.
And that's the thing. It is a juggling act, and I guess mowing weekly helps you make that job a little bit easier too. I think.
Definitely.
Because you're there more regularly, so you can adjust. And lawns obviously react a lot better. When it's more regularly cut. You can change that height. A lot easier. You're not chomping down into big stuff or leaving it a bit that longer to try and get that extra growth when it's already got 2 weeks growth on it and that sort of thing. So I think we could probably sit here all day and find the pros as to why weekly cuts work better.
Talking about my own lawn here and the fact that I'm struggling to keep on top of it at the moment. I'm using the robotic mower there.
Yeah, right. There you go.
And so it's doing daily cuts. But because the growth is that fast and thick at the moment, it's got patches where the robotic mower missed it.
Yeah, right.
And then 3 days growth there, and it's really nice, thick green grass, and the robot just chokes when it hits it. And so then that patch gets thicker and longer.
Yeah.
And this is one of the downsides. People won't often hear me talking about downsides of robotic mowers, but that's one of the downsides. I had reduced the schedule of mowing from, I think, somewhere around a 10-hour day down to a 3-hour day because we were so dry.
Yeah.
And I was a bit slow on the uptake when it started growing again. And so, it just got out of control.
Yeah, it happens pretty quickly too, and that's the thing. Like, my grandmother's lawn, I cut it back to a rotary mow through winter.
So you normally
cylinder mow. Being a buffalo, I lift it back up. I think, I go from 20 mil, I think up to like 80 mil. So it's a massive jump that I change it, and that's what I mean. It's another thing that I put the lawn through every year. I go from pretty low to a lot higher just to allow it to get through, those winter months. Because we all know buffalo goes dormant during winter. So I give it that chance to relax and just rejuvenate itself. And then come spring, I take the next 6 weeks slowly getting it back down to height. And it's only just now that it's starting to pop again from from getting it back into that summer thing. But again, we've had a very different winter, a very different summer or spring. So and we've had different ones all the last couple of years. You look at 2019, it was dry. 2020, we got the rains. So it's just been really every year it's just changing now. So the lawn hasn't had a chance to settle back down and go, yep, I know what's going on. And
I've seen so many seasons. I think you've been going longer than I have. I've been doing it for 13 years, but you said you did 10 years with somebody else before you even started your business.
So I did an apprenticeship and then an extra 6 years with a bloke. And it was probably one of the less reputable businesses in the company, in the industry. But for me, I had one plan was to do 10 years with someone.
Yeah.
And the second thing I realised is reflecting back, I learnt so much about what not to do in a business. And it's helped me so much now. Like, we used to get complaints all the time. I was trying to put out fires as an employee all the time. And I couldn't put out very many in my position. But I used to learn how people would respond to doing things this way. And, like it was even, I remember, I used to do landscape installs around substations. And my boss thought that going from one to the next, he could just resubmit the same swims. Completely different work sites. They require different swims, and the what do you call it? The project manager straight away goes, "Yeah, no, you're a friggin' idiot. Did you really think this would fly? What do you mean? This swims is for Gordon. Why are you now what do you call it, submitting it for Leica? It's a different facility. We cannot use machinery here. We've got another live substation next door, so we cannot use the machinery. It's handy here. So why are you talking about the swims for machinery?" And we nearly lost the contract. Over that. And what do you call it? It's like, wow, you really got to be onto things, and it's just it's crazy what people think you can do in a business, and it's like, no, okay, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that.
And that's the thing. 90% of commercial contracts, you could use a pro forma swims where it includes all of your machinery and say, this is my swims for the business. And they wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah, probably
but
not.
You get somebody like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me, a bit of a crackle in my throat. And they need to know that the swims is site specific.
Yeah.
And don't try pulling a Swifty on them.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So I guess, sometimes you just got to feel out your customers, but sometimes it can definitely bite you in the backside if you're not careful, that's for sure. So
so I brought that up. I want to know more about that transition, but I brought it up because over the seasons I have noticed, like what we're having this season, plenty of times you get into spring and you hit a real dry patch before you get the summer rain hit you. And everyone this year was going, we're in El Nino. We're in El Nino. It's going to be dry all season. It's going to be the hottest, driest summer we've ever had. And then all of a sudden we got the rain.
Yeah,
and the weatherman's now saying,
no, apparently. So
crazy.
But that's the thing for me. When I did the transition, the weather was still good because that was quite a few years ago now. But it was back when the weather was pretty stable. I started out. What do you call it? Working, afternoon. So I was starting at 6 o'clock for the boss, finishing at 3, and then I was going and doing 3 to 8 for myself.
Wow.
I advertised 2 times in one of the Facebook.
So local Facebook community group,
community pages, just on their advertising day, saying, "Look, this is who I am. This is my experience. Blah blah blah. I'm looking for some lawns to do. Will you help me out by being my first to prove what I can do?"
Yep.
And I had 3 people straight away. Yep, we'll give you a chance. And then so I started doing them, and then I stopped all advertising altogether, and they started jumping on pages every time someone asked for someone to look for who wanted to look their lawn note, and I'd get them all going on. Guy Vassallo. So then just rolled on, and I realized, hey, okay, I don't have to advertise if I do it right and I make people happy. I don't have to. So I just set up that my plan is to never advertise. I don't want to do anything. I just want to let my work do it. So I just focused on attention to detail. So I would, if I had to, I would use a dustpan and broom. If I couldn't blow it somewhere because the nature strip was too small, and in the community I was mowing in, the ponds, the nature strips are that narrow. You blow it, it's either on the road or it's in a garden bed. And to me, I wasn't going to have either. It had to be clean. So it take me a little bit longer. Customers were, responding to that, and I'd have people driving by and pull over and go, "Hey, you show great, attention to detail. That's what we want." And then I had people going, "Oh, you're an idiot. Why would you go to that extent?" People aren't looking for that attention to detail. Well, if they weren't, why are people pulling over? Why aren't you running me out of business? So I just built it up for 2 years, and then I come up to my 10 years long service, and I said to my boss, "Look," and I gave him a lot of notice. So I think I told him in the April, and I finished up in the October. So I gave him a lot of notice. I spoke to A&L, not thinking I'd have enough work to begin with on that transition. So I spoke to them and lined up 2 days of driving for them.
Okay,
Yep. I'd forgotten that at Christmas time the year before, I'd booked in a cruise in November for 9 days.
Oh, no. Wow.
So it turned out that was a week after I went out full-time. So then come come September, I started telling all my customers, I'm going out full time next month.
Yep.
If you know anyone, let them know, because I'm going to have a lot of time on my sleeve, because I've got a fair bit. But I think I've got about 2 days worth of space to fill out. By the beginning, within two weeks, I'd filled my schedule up. So I rang A&L. I said, look, don't need it. Don't need the 2 days. Sorry, I hope you weren't relying on me, because I'm not going to have the time. So I did a week, and that was all already lined up with weekly mows. So I did a week of mowing, and I said, see you later, I'm going on a cruise. So I went on a 10-day cruise, came back. Lawns were still okay, because it'd only been 10 days, and I hit it, and I haven't looked back. So
you can get away with fortnightly cuts.
I guess so, yeah. So, but I think that that's the thing, it gives you that barrier that if you miss a day, you can do it next week. It's not a 2-week cut that's turned into a 3-week cut. I think for me that was one of the best parts on a scheduling thing, that I don't have to reschedule it in, because I'm going to be there next week. If I need to, because they've got a party or something in there, I like to try and accommodate and look after my customers in that sense. I've still got that flexibility, because I know how long my day's going to be. Because I know I'm not going to hit a massive long lawn that's caught me off guard. I know they're all short. I know how long they're all going to take me. So I can go, okay, I'll come, on Friday and fit you in at the end of the day, or something like that.
Well, I know that feeling, and you see it come up on LMCA or the professional contractors page, where people are like, oh man, it's been raining for a week and the lawns are out of control. And I'm like, all right, when I've had fortnightly and weekly cuts to look after, I'm like, I'm going to spend maybe even 3 weeks catching up on that one from that 1 week of rain. But my weekly cuts are still looking perfect, if not better.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. So
it really does. It takes a long time to recover when you get behind like that, and you've got to.
100%.
You can't blame the customer.
Definitely, and that's what I remember when we used to work for the boss. Like, he'd have this saying, and it used to really rub off the wrong way with people. We'd turn up, we'd be pissing down rain, and you go, "Oh, go out and try and get it done, but don't get wet." So if you want us to get it done, it won't stop freaking raining. How do you stay dry? So you sit in the truck at your first job, and you go, "Shit, is this going to stop?" So then you think, "Oh, we'll give it a crack." So you start mowing, and the mowers are chogging up because the grass is wet. You try and blow down, and you make more mess. You're flinging mud everywhere when you're edging, and then customers start complaining. You try and wash it down, and it's still not working, because there's already too much water around. So now you're getting puddles on footpaths and everything else that are muddy. And and so then it was like, all right, when I set up my business, if it's raining, even if it's just starting to sprinkle and it looks like it's going to get heavy, I'll just call my day off. And I get it. Some people can't afford that. So, again, I'm lucky, and I'm in that position where, I'm in a position where I can say, I'm just going to call the day off. But on the flip side of that, my customers also know, if I miss this week, next week, I'm going to charge you half an extra cut, because I'm going to take that bit extra off. And they're aware of that. So, I haven't lost a full day's pay, but I don't make it all back, but I'm still getting something back. And it's just that relationship that I got with customers.
And so you can do that. You can tell the customer, if we're going to be a week late, this is what's happening.
100%.
When you're doing fortnightly cuts and you go, okay, I'm going to be a fortnight late. You can't turn around and tell the customer, hey, your foot long grass, I'm going to charge you 3 times as much or 10 times as much to cut it, because it's on you for delaying it for that much longer after the rain stopped.
100%. So but that's the thing. But in saying that, I've never had customers throw back that the reason I didn't come was on me either. Even if I go and say, I'm taking a week off holidays, when I come back, I'm going to charge you the extra half a cut. They don't put it back on me. They go, we know it's going to be a bit extra, blah, blah, all good. So I'm probably lucky in that sense as well. But
Well, I think what I'm saying is the difference between weekly cuts and fortnightly cuts is that much more noticeable. That
100%.
With your weekly cuts, it's really easy to manage your customer expectations.
Definitely,
like that.
For sure, absolutely, definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So you've been running your own business for how many years now?
10 years now.
10 years now, yeah.
crazy, it's to think that it's just flown. So
And you hit full time. How long into? Is it 10 years from when you started part time? When you're still doing the other job?
so I've been out full time 8 years now. So
Yeah, full time 8 years, and you filled your schedule up like 2 weeks after you started full time.
yeah.
So, have you tried to grow your business or tried to increase your revenue or do anything different in that time
Well,
to
every
change it?
now and again, I put up my prices by 10 to 15%.
Yeah,
So, and look, in the time that I've done it, I think I've lost one or two customers from price rises.
yeah,
Most of them have always said, "Yep, guy, you're worth it." Yep. And I give them a month's notice. 9 times out of 10, the next time I turn up, they're already giving me the new price.
yeah,
But I've also upgraded. Like I've always had this saying that you should approach a customer like a potential girlfriend or boyfriend. That you should still, you should be still qualifying them. I put
yeah,
up front straight away. When I have people approach me and go, "Oh, you do a great job with that lawn. That's what I want." Well, you got to realize it's a weekly cut to achieve this. This, that, the other. And if they turn around and go, "Yeah, nah, that's not for me." Okay, sorry, you're not the customer for me. I can't help you. Can give you a number of someone who does fortnightly, whatever, but I'm only after weekly because this is what I achieve, and to achieve it, it's like this. Or you start talking about what do you call it? Another way I used to qualify people was straight away telling them that I'm too busy, to see how they would respond to that. The
yeah,
wrong customer for me would argue with me. So
yeah,
my response to people is that, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a lawyer, I'm this or that. How about we change jobs for a week? You clearly know how to do my job better without any
yep,
qualifications. So I bet I can do your job better than you. And
yeah,
whoa, okay. Or if they say no worries, I'll look for somebody else. Okay, you're the customer for me because you know how to be told something and you take it. You don't just try and tell me the other
yeah,
way. Boom. And so in the beginning I was constantly upgrading customers as well. Because you get a feel for people and you realize they're just not a click for you, or you can't meet their expectations, or
yep,
or whatever else, or you want a bigger property. I traded up a lot of smaller properties to get my bigger properties, and and that's a thing. Like one of my, I've got a stringent of 9 customers out at Castlereagh, and it
yeah,
started from one customer that looked after. He recommended me on to somebody else to do a landscape install when I was still working for the boss, and I was like, look, there's no way I could finish this in an acceptable time. Maybe you'd be happy with it, but not for me to do it in afternoons and weekends and drag it out for however long.
yeah,
I'm sorry, but you'll have to find somebody else. Oh, but Charlie's spoken really highly of you, this, that, the other. I want you to do it. Well, I'm sorry, but no, I can't. So
yeah,
then I was like, oh, but just so and this was when I was in that getting ready to go full time. It was at the beginning of that year. I said, look, come October, I'm looking at going out full time on my own. So, well, that was going to be my next question, because it's very hard for me to find a tradesman who will say I'm too busy. They'll promise you the world and then deliver nothing. He said,
yeah.
I want you to look after my storage facility and my property when you're ready.
Nice.
Okay, then so put him on, and then he recommended me to another 8 friends, and that included a restaurant. So it just
Wow.
that roll on.
Yeah,
So and it's just like you look after people, and okay, and I found within that it used to be 10, and I let go of one because I had an issue, and it did not affect any of the others.
yeah.
That's
Nice.
also, they understand each relationship is one, and they get it. If something doesn't work, it doesn't affect
Yeah,
that bigger circle either. So that's another thing that I like, because you also have that fear of, if you upset the boat, you might lose them all. I
yeah.
guess it all comes down to what it's for, how you go about it, and everything else as well, I guess. So,
I've made plenty of mistakes in my business, and I will admit that I've done it like you at times where I'm qualifying the customers, and okay,
yeah,
you don't qualify,
yeah,
and I've had one customer where I'm like, you know what, I gave you these qualifying requirements at the start. You asked me to give it a try, and I've now told you what you want doesn't work, and
yeah,
that I need to go back to what I want. And they're like, no, that's way too much of a price increase, and blah blah blah.
yeah,
We can't handle that. And
yeah,
he argued with me, and I said, okay, you've got 2 cuts left. Find somebody else. And he's like,
yeah.
whoa, no, I'm going to pay you the higher price and retain you, but I'm not happy.
Wow. Yeah, there you go.
Because
Well, sometimes
it,
they don't think you're gonna. stick to it. They think that you're going to be the one that balks. And that's
Well,
the problem.
he knew that he couldn't find another contractor that turned up as regularly as I did and did a good job like I did.
Yeah.
So the previous contractor had side discharged on a tractor style ride-on and made it messy every time.
Yeah.
The previous contractor was always running behind, always cutting taller grass, always making a mess. And I kept it tidy and looking awesome.
Yeah.
So he knew what he was going to miss out on if he said goodbye to me.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
But
and same. Definitely, sorry. Keep going.
I've also treated the customer like the girlfriend, like you mentioned before, where I've gone, instead of qualifying them, I'm trying to get qualified. And I'm like, oh, here's a bunch of roses. And here, I've done my hair and and groveling to the girlfriend doesn't work.
Yeah. But I guess we all try things. Sometimes we want that perfect customer. Well, we think that's the perfect customer for us, and so we try and be the ones to get qualified. But that's the thing. Like, I had to where it's this one customer. He was funny. I was doing a lawn across the road. It was someone. I should never have taken on the job to begin with. But I've always said sometimes like this, it's a step up. It puts you out there, blah blah blah. It was grass that was, I shit, it was waist high, and it took me hours. And I was out there, what do you call it? I whippersnipped it first, raked it, mowed it a couple of times to get it down, and then I was doing it for months. And what do you call it? There was a property across the road. The owner was lawn proud or landscape proud, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And she was like, "I want my lawn to look like that." So like, well, you keep coming out and telling me how to do my job. So how the heck am I ever going to get it to that if you won't put your trust in me to begin with?
Yeah.
But that you won't let me do what's required as well. You don't want me to mow it weekly, this, that, the other. So it was, I learnt my lessons there with giving in to the customer, because I was allowing them, to call me, and they call me every 3 weeks. So I was constantly dealing with bullshit height. It was Kai, so it was always growing. But I remember that first time that I did it. This guy that I ended up getting as a customer, he was so proud. He called me over, took me for a walk around his property. He owned a what do you call it? He built houses for a living, so he built his own house to spec of what his family wanted, this, that, the other. Had his landscaper go through, blah blah blah. Did the lawns and the landscapes, and he was really proud. So he took me, gave me a beer, took me around, showed it off to him. The wife came out and goes, "Oh, he's roped you in now, has he? Well, at least he leaves me alone for half an hour." I'm Joanna, went back inside. So he's like, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And, you've made the next door look, across the road look good. We've been embarrassed. It's been, the eyesore of the street for ages, blah, blah, blah. So he goes, look, I'm not after anyone at the moment, but, you never know what happens. Can I take your number down? So on a bit of chipboard in his garage, he's written down my name and my number. It's like, yep, I'll never hear from this bloke. He just wanted to show off. He's just kissing my backside a bit to continue on. A few weeks, it was what do you call it? A month or two later, he rang me and he said, "Look, can you start doing my property? My guy's disappeared, blah blah blah." Yep. So anyway, I messaged him the day before to say, "Hey mate, just confirming I'm coming tomorrow." He messaged back going, "Look, sorry mate, I found somebody else." I'm like, "Dude, we just lined this up. What the whatever?" So I just let it go, and then I get a phone call. I'd planned to go there on the Thursday. I get a phone call on the Friday. "Hey mate, what happened to you? Where didn't you come?" So, dude, you sent me a reply saying you'd found somebody else. He goes, "Oh look, shit, sorry mate. My other landscape. His name was Guy as well. Whatever, righto." He all of a sudden come out of the blue, and I thought it was you or him. I was telling him I found somebody else. Sorry, mate. So lined it back up. I started doing it for years, and then they sold. They decided that they bought a bit of land and they built that up and they sold. So they gave my details onto the customer, and so what do you call it? The customer reached out to me. I went in there, told them, "Look, this is what I've done, blah blah blah. This is my price," and I put up the price from what I'd been charging the last customer as well. And they said, "Well, look, we've got this other guy that we've used forever. We're going to give him a go. We understand the property. You've done amazing, but we're just going to give him a go." Well, no worries. He told me who. No, I didn't. He didn't tell me who it was. I was doing the lawn next door. They told me what the van looked like, the ute that looked like of the guy. And I was like, "Oh, I know him." I said that he's not going to last long, but got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, sure enough, I get a phone call from the new owner. Look, we were really happy with him from our property, but now he doesn't turn up very regularly. Next door always looks amazing. We'd like you to
Yep.
take on our property as well now. We should have done it to begin with, but we thought we'd give him a chance. Before
Yep.
we didn't care about the property, so with him not being regular, it didn't matter. Now, because of how you've made this property, it's noticeable, and we're not happy.
Yeah.
So I've now got one of my best properties back. Took a bit of work to get it back up to scratch again,
Yeah. I
and
bet.
it was looked after by the what do you call it, by the guy from Coochie Hydro Green. He was
Oh, yeah.
hitting me up constantly after I lost it, saying, "Dude, you got to get it back. You've got to get it back." It was looking so good. Now I've got to work harder to try and
Yeah.
keep it looking good. But
Yep.
as we both know, it's a balance of everything. And when he's not doing his bit, my bit doesn't look as good anymore either.
Yeah.
And
So you find Coochie Hydro Green does a pretty good job in your area? Because I hear so many conflicting reports with them.
Look, I've got some customers on the other side of the road in the hills who are not happy with the guy that has that area. But on
Okay.
this side in Blacktown, I'm finding it really good. Yeah, he is
Yeah, okay.
qualified. He hasn't just done, now that I've found out that sometimes you can do a 6-week course to work with. I thought you had to be a qualified greenkeeper to work for them, but I've been
Okay.
told no, you don't. You can do a
Yep.
6-week course or something. So that shocked me.
Yeah.
But this guy, what do you call it, seems to do a really good job, and I'm happy with him. He doesn't do all of my lawns. A lot of them I do myself, but there's a
Yeah.
few where that need that little bit extra knowledge
Yep.
that I haven't got. So I'll push them his way, and they're looking absolutely immaculate. So
Nice.
I can't fault him. But you're going to find that with anywhere.
Yeah. So a
you're
franchise model like that, you get good franchisees, bad franchisees, and
100%. And
they're not the same.
Exactly right. So, and that's the thing. It's no different. With any franchise, you can have a big name and a really good reputation, but then it can take one person to bring it down as well. So
We've seen that with gyms at the moment. I don't know if you've seen it,
I
but the
wasn't going
amount
to
of
mention the
flack.
name. That was the one that popped in my head. But okay, you
I'll,
you jumped on
I'll,
that boat. So.
I'll mention it because I've
Yeah.
been singing his praises. I've
Yeah.
been telling everybody if I was to start again, I would actually join a franchise because I believe in the franchise system. And Jim's
Yeah.
franchise system is the one that really makes me go, you know what, that would work well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, they've copped a lot of flack, and I don't want to weigh in on whether they deserve the flack or whether it's my opinion's not relevant there. But simply being what we're talking about, the fact is, you go from one to the next, and you expect to have a McDonald's on every corner that acts exactly the same, and even McDonald's gets it wrong. The McDonald's that's closest to me has got a terrible reputation for
100%. I
undercooked
remember when I was
food,
a kid.
cockroaches, all that sort of stuff.
I remember when you were, as a kid, when you went to Macca's, they all taste the same and all look the same. And now it's just not. And I don't know what it is. Could it be that they're now hiring 13, 14-year-olds? I don't know. Don't know what it is, but it's definitely not the same as what it used to be. That's for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, gyms is good for a laugh. I generally appreciate what they do, but you do see some variation, a huge variation.
100%. It's different people with different experiences, different attitudes, and everything else. Some people, I do not think, know how to run a business. And I think, it takes a certain type of person to run a business. I've had an easy run, but I've been lucky. I don't think it is for a lot of people. It is an easy run. And, it does take a lot of, what do you call it, work to get it right. That's for sure. It's not just, I'll buy some gear and I'll go out there and start mowing lawns. I don't really want to open that can of worms.
The other thing, to be fair, I've heard more horror stories from Fox, VIP, James Home Services, all those ones, than I have heard from gyms. And I think that the stories that are going around about gyms at the moment is because Jim spoke up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's the funny thing is that I keep seeing guys posting up videos that Jim's put out with him giving advice, like how to mow long grass, and they give him shit. You know what? I didn't see too much bad about what he was doing. I'd probably change a few things, but the gist of it was right. And look at what he's achieved. He's not
the other
that
thing
dumb.
is his best work is done when he does what he does best, and he lets his franchisees do what they do best. He's the marketing person.
100%.
He is the guru that came up with the franchise that works well.
Yeah, exactly
and
right.
full respect for that. And
100%.
the franchisees have helped build that system.
Oh, definitely.
He's done the background. They've done the work on the street.
Yep. They're the soldiers. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I give it to him. Yeah, and that's the thing. But yeah, for me, the other thing is, that I draw to people who have been successful.
Yeah.
And I'm even more drawn to people that would, make other people shy away. If they go, oh look, this is what I've done, and this is what I've achieved, and this is what I bought, and this and that.
Yeah.
I draw to those people. Like, okay, beat your chest and think you're all good. But I've found the more you encourage that, the more willing they accidentally give you tips that they probably shouldn't have given you. And you just draw off that, And it's like, oh, okay, yep, that's amazing. What do you call it? I envy that you've done this and you've been able to, afford all this. If only I could do that myself, and blah blah blah. And then out of beating their chest again, they'll go, "Oh, this is what I did to do it." So, thank you. I got what I wanted. I had to go through all that chest beating, but then I got the reward. Well, others would go, "Oh yeah, he's beating his chest. He's what do you call it? He's just showing off this, that, the other." And they
good old Aussie tall poppy syndrome. Cut them down because they're doing well.
Yeah.
The
100%.
reality is, I'm happy to say this, and I agree with you that the catch cry that I hear is you are the people you spend the most time with. The top 4 people that you spend the most time with, you are going to be like them. So I think the reality is if you hang around with people who are always cutting other people down, you're always going to feel like you're a victim.
Yeah.
If you hang around people that are beating their chest and going, I'm pretty proud of what I've done.
Yep.
You're not going to be the victim for too long because you're going to be doing the same thing. And it's not to be overly proud of your achievements. It's a case of going, you know what, hang around with those people who help you and elevate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, like, I've, what do you call it, just recently, I've recognized the audience that I've got on a particular group. I'm not going to mention it because it's another group within our thing. But
no problem.
and I've realised that they don't like people who seem proud and want to talk about what they've done. So I've taken a run for the last couple of days, putting up some extra stuff and showing what I've achieved and what's going on. And I know the audience is taken as that I'm going, hey, look at me, but to me, that's not my attitude. It's hey, this is what I've achieved. This is what you can achieve. And if you want to find out how to achieve it, come and approach me. But I know that's not how it's being received. But you know what? Because of where I'm at, to me, that's just a bit of entertainment for me. You want to have that attitude? That's on you, not me. No loss to me. Throw your what do you call it? Your memes and your comments at me that are going to pick on me. And guess what? You might be laughing at me, but I'm laughing back at you, champ.
And this is one of the reasons why I got you in for this interview, because I saw you posting about weekly cuts, and I'm like, it doesn't matter how many people cut you down for talking about weekly cuts. It's like that's my my dream is to just have weekly cuts.
Yep. And that's the thing, like, and sometimes it isn't easy to get people over, even if they see the thing. And so, I've had this attitude of like, put a bit of trust in me. And if it doesn't work, well, then that's fine. I'll give you we'll do a month of cuts, because I know it's not going to happen straight away. It might take 4 weeks. It might take 6 weeks, depending on the weather. Give me 4 weeks. If it's not showing that weekly will work for your lawn, I'll give you 2 free cuts out of that.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yep, that works. So then I've only paid for 2 instead of 4 anyway. Yep, that's on me then if it doesn't work. Okay.
Yeah.
Man,
I listened to Luke Smith. I don't know if you listen to Luke Smith's podcast. Big shout out to Luke if you want to listen to the Australian Lawn and Garden podcast. That's worth listening to. But he did an episode with somebody. I'm pretty sure they were doing golf courses.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And they talked about cutting daily.
Yeah.
And the qualifying comments were, if you skip a day, then you're trying to catch back up. And not just that it's hard work cutting the grass, but you're actually trying to catch up in terms of trying to get the grass back to the quality that it was when you were cutting every day. So
Yeah.
if you do weekly cuts, your grass quality improves from where it was fortnightly. And it does take that time to catch back
Yeah.
up, to get that lawn to thicken up to the rate that it will work when you're doing weekly cuts.
100%,
So
100%. And I've
you,
found the other thing where you try and go back. Yeah, I've had one, what do you call it? When I go back to fortnightly for winter cuts,
yeah,
you struggle for that little bit because you've got that thickness from that lateral growth.
yeah,
And, my machines, I've had to double and triple cut
yeah,
lawns because even though I am starting to raise it, I raise, what do you call it, a little bit coming into winter to give it that little bit extra
yeah,
leaf blade for, your less sunlight.
yeah,
It still struggles because I've got that lateral growth, and then over the next month you start to see that fin back out again,
yeah,
and then what do you call it? And then it becomes easier. But
yeah.
it's what do you call it? But that's the thing. It's at times like that you realise just how what do you call it? How much benefit more regular cutting does have. So
That's where I find the robotic mowers are absolutely brilliant. I'm just going to talk about them every
yeah.
chance I get.
Oh, look, to be
But
honest, I've got to, I've started to get more and more interested in them. They seem like a, what do you call it, a pretty smart thing. But yeah, for me,
yeah,
it's one of those things. You've never had any experience in there. You go in, you look, and there's so many. It's like, what? Okay, where do I start? Which one should I get? That looks cool, but is it functional? Will it work?
yeah. Well,
So
I would treat it like the girlfriend application. You try and
yeah,
qualify people out of it rather than
yeah,
into it.
yeah.
And
Oh, for sure.
you go, okay, you're not really the suitable kind of person for a robotic mower, or you need to change the way you think about robotic mowers before you're even
Mowers.
going to qualify,
Yeah,
or your
definitely.
yard's not suitable for a robotic mower, or
Yeah,
you need to understand how these work so that you know what the
yeah,
expectations are for this before you even get close to it. But
definitely.
going back to that, going from summer into winter, when you got a robotic mower and it's out there doing, you know,
Yeah,
anywhere from 10 to 24 hours a day mowing,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden there's no point having it doing 24 hours a day 7 days a week,
yeah,
so you cut it back. And the beauty of that is you can say, okay, it's still going to be out there every day, but it's going to do 3 or 4 hours a day instead of 20 hours a day,
yeah, yeah,
and that way it's still getting cut frequency.
yeah.
It
Well, that's
doesn't
right.
need to be out there for 20 hours a day to keep on top of it.
Definitely, definitely.
So yeah, I find there's so many advantages, little things like that, where you go, okay, I would turn up once a fortnight or once every 8 weeks, even with some lawns in winter.
Yeah, yeah, right. Well, I've got
But
all mine fortnightly through winter.
yeah, but the robot, it's out there
Yeah,
daily still.
yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. Yep. You just
And
minimise what it does. Yep.
without a doubt, anybody who has a look at one of the robots that are mowing for me, and you have a look and go, that lawn looks like a golf course.
Yep. So when you just turn up to do whippersnipping and that sort of thing,
Yeah, whip
and
snipping,
any tied
gardening.
up with a mower that's required that it doesn't get or something. Yeah.
Oh, it's an improvement on their lawn. No
Yep.
worries every
Yep.
time.
Yep. Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah,
Definitely.
but
So
there's a small amount of lawns where you can say, yeah, it's worth putting a robotic mower. And a lot of those jobs that you're talking about, the roadside verge that's 2 meters wide or 1 meter wide,
yeah.
those sorts of jobs are not suitable for a robotic mower.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yep.
So you
Definitely.
pick a yard that's a perfect circle with no obstacles in it and the right
Yep.
size for the size of the robotic mower that you're talking about, and
Yep.
perfectly flat. That's a great
Yeah.
job for a robotic mower.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And that's
Any of
I
those
guess,
things I just mentioned, you change that, and all of a sudden that changes how efficient the robotic mower is.
yeah. Well, yeah. I suppose it's like with any machine. You what do you call it? They're all suited for certain applications, and then you try it on something else, and it doesn't do the same. It doesn't get the same finish.
That's right.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I've seen so many times where people put a robotic mower on property, and if
Yeah.
you'd look at a property where you're getting irrigation or reticulation,
Yeah.
the increased cut frequency means you get more grass.
Yeah. Oh,
So
for
you
sure.
get better coverage, you don't get dead patches. And if you do, you're more inclined to spend that little bit extra on a little bit of fertilizer or an aeration or
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
takes, treating
Definitely.
the moss, whatever it is that has that dead patch there, so that you then get better coverage, and the robots just keeps the
Oh.
mowing going while you focus on doing the improvements.
Definitely, unless you. I remember when I first started first started taking over mowing my grandparents' place when my grandfather got sick, and I, got it to that point where it was ready for a cylinder mower. Started mowing it, and I left 2 spray bottles at my grandparents' place. One had Roundup in it, and one had some broadleaf for the lawn.
Yeah.
And I'd gone on. It was during winter. I'd gone on holidays, and some what is it? Oxalis had popped up in the lawn. So my
Yeah.
grandmother decided that she was going to spray it because I wasn't there. What did she grab? The Roundup bottle. Sprayed.
wow.
I came back, and there was a whole long dead patch.
Oh, no.
Dad, what did you do? Oh, I just sprayed the weeds with weed killer. Went out, the Roundup bottle was empty. Nan,
Yeah.
you grabbed the wrong one. You've killed the lawn as well. Well, at least the weeds are gone.
Put some pre-emergent down there so that the weeds don't come back quicker than the grass.
Yeah, I did. So, sadly, it took 6 months
Yeah.
to grow back.
Yep. That's about it. And if it was in the start of winter, it would be even worse.
Yep. Lucky enough, it was just towards the end of it. That's when it was most quietest when I went away for 2 weeks, and took 6 months. It wasn't until summer that it finally had grass, and that's the thing. Like the lawn, which is funny enough, their lawn used to be cooch. Now it's turned into a buffalo lawn. I don't know how.
Hey, I talked to somebody in Queensland about this. I got a friend, Jack Hamilton.
Yep.
I interviewed Jack going back near the start of the podcast. So we're talking 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He'll call me every now and then. And I said to him, hey, I've got a mix of cooch and buffalo and kikuyu in my lawn. And he's like, hey, change the cut height and you'll change which grass dominates.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, let's try this. So if you cut it shorter, the cooch will dominate over the buffalo. If you cut it longer, the buffalo will dominate over the cooch. And there's variation there, right? It's not just a simple thing. But I was like, this sounds like a good idea. I want to try and get rid of that cooch in my lawn. So I started cutting it with my Honda 216 at the maximum cut of height of cut. I stumble over my words there.
Yeah,
and
so 10 or 11.
It was looking really lush because I've been cutting it low with a cylinder mower, and then I was like, all right, cut high and see if the buffalo will take over. Do it with the 216 because I didn't want to do that with a cylinder mower.
Yep.
It looked really lush, and then the army grubs hit it.
Oh, no. So, well, that's the thing. For me, the buffalo turned up after I was cylinder mowing, so I've got no idea, and I've been able to get it identified. It's Matilda, so it's one of the cheap shit versions of this buffalo, but it took over. There was actually the nature strip was Kai, inside was Cooch, and the buffalo's taken over both.
Does it get frosts there?
We occasionally get a frost, but very rarely.
So it's similar to here. We typically will get 1 or 2 frosts a year, but the last season we had really cold winter, and I think we got like almost 10 frosts.
Yeah, I think we got a few more this last winter as well. So
the reason I asked that is because frosts affect buffalo and cooch very differently. I've seen buffalo come back quicker than cooch after a lot of frosts.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would have thought cooch being the cold climate grass, it would thrive better, but
So somehow for me, it's turned into a buffalo. And I jumped on the Lawn Fanatics page, and I got absolutely smashed with it. I turned around and asked, I said, hey, if there's any lawn growers out there, is there a possibility that we've got it wrong with buffalo, that it isn't sterile? Because I had no buffalo at all, and I've had a lawn turn into buffalo. And they've said, it's probably had a runner that you didn't notice, or it's blown in. But it's like, it was dry as hell. It was during the, dry spell we had.
Well, if it's blown in, then it can't be sterile.
Yeah, well, they reckon runners had blown in, was what their recommendation was.
Yeah. I have never seen a runner succeed unless you actually get it in nice soil.
Into the soil, yep. So I was like, and not a single lawn grower responded to the post. I got just smashed by everyone else telling me I was dumb and stupid and didn't know what I was talking about and everything else. So no worries, it's okay. But I had no buffalo. There's no way, it would have had to grow under concrete and everything else. And we all know buffalo, what do you call it, grows, only has stolons, not rhizomes. So
Yeah, I'm not
the only
100%
thing I
sure
can,
about this, right? I think
yeah,
people are so certain that
yeah,
buffalo is this kind of grass and cooch is that kind of grass. And it's like,
yeah,
you know what? How do they grow turf farms with
because
it?
they leave a stretch of buffalo. They cut when they rip it. They leave
Yeah. Yep.
like this much of buffalo. I've been to
Yeah.
them after they've done an
Yeah.
area. Yeah, they leave a little bit and they let it grow back out again. So that's how they get it.
Yeah. Yeah, so look at various different places like that, like turf farms, and then
Yeah,
people who do full
yeah,
renos with buffalo, where they cut it right back to the dirt, and it's like,
yeah.
okay, if you cut it too far, you'll kill the buffalo off quicker than you'll kill the cooch, but the buffalo will still come back.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing, that like I'm pushing the limits. I know with buffalo, like people say, oh, you can't cut it low, and I'm
Yeah,
cutting it like it's cooch or kai.
yeah,
And
I cut it at 20 mil.
20 mil, yeah, and there's, what do you call it? There's a guy who's actually making a modifier for cylinder mowers to raise the height of it,
Okay, yeah,
so you can cylinder mow buffalo.
yes.
Don't need it. I'm treating it like cooch. I'm mowing it low, and it's loving it. It's
Well,
striping up. So,
if you use a MowMaster
yeah.
or a MEY,
Okay.
then
Yeah.
they've got the weight to cut through buffalo when it's getting spongy. Whereas I think that's
Yeah.
the number one reason why people don't cylinder mow buffalo is because it gets really spongy. And
Spongy. Yeah. Fair enough. Well, I just use my rotary mower to get it down. So,
yeah,
um, and I just slowly, over I think 3 weeks, I was mowing it every second day and just cutting it lower and lower
yeah.
and lower.
I think the WA guys and Lenny
Yeah.
Lawler, they're like, just get a heavier cylinder mower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
Well,
for
yeah.
it. No master,
Yeah.
it'll cut through it.
Yeah. I'm just using the old Scotty. So, but
Yeah, nice.
I love it. It's bashed to, I bought it bashed, and what do you call it? I haven't done any. All I've done to it is change the engine, because eventually,
Oh,
one of
yeah.
which is sad. It was one of the manifold screws
Oh, yeah.
broke, and the mechanic turned and said, "Look, it's not worth saving. You're gonna
Yep.
have to commit now to a new engine." I was like, "But I love the old engine. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, you got no choice now." But
No,
and he
well.
said, but once you do it, you wish you'd done it years ago. Now I've done it, it's quieter.
Yep.
What do you call it? Everything else doesn't look as good. I don't think, because it doesn't suit the mower.
Yeah.
But but I got to admit, it's a nice engine. It really
But
is.
a mower
So
like that, you can change the engine and keep the mower. You wouldn't
yeah,
just throw the whole thing out and start again.
100%, 100%. So when I was working for the Bosch, we were Honda users, and I loved them.
Yep.
But I think middle of the teens, we bought new Hondas, and they were just falling apart every 5 minutes. Like, I got used to the weight of them, but so that wasn't an issue for me. But they were just falling apart, parts everywhere. You had to replace the handle here, you had to
Yeah.
change the wheel there. So
Yep.
it turned me off Hondas. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a 20, 30-year-old self-propelled Honda that I bought off Facebook, because I got one customer, what do you call it, which they get me to use their mower. It's just,
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy for it. It's the same mower as what I bought. Never used one of them before, but started using. I'm like, wow, I like this.
Yeah.
But is it heavy? If I've got to lift it up something,
Yep.
yeah, weighs a ton. But it
Everyone's got a
cuts.
Honda story, I think, because just
Yeah,
about every contractor's had a Honda.
yeah.
Ah,
So I ended up going to Massport when I started my own business,
yeah,
and
okay.
back when I first bought them, it's like, fuck yeah. Even when I first started using Hondas, I wasn't happy with the cut.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to get upset with them, and I've started using this Honda, and I'm like, geez, if I could get it into every property and get it up,
Yeah.
past water heaters, and because I've got some that are quite
Yep.
narrow, and I've got to
Yeah.
turn my mower on its side and go.
Yep.
So, one, I've got to put one wheel up on a retaining wall, because in between the fence retaining wall and a water heater, it's a pain in the ass. I wouldn't be able to get.
That's where the battery mowers are really good. If you've
Yeah,
got a battery mower
yeah.
that you're happy with, 25,
Which
30 kilos.
something I'm going towards next will be the mowers. I'm not sure. I've moved towards Makita 40 volt for my hand gear, but I'm just not sure where I'll go with the mowers.
If you've
If I
already got
have,
the batteries, the Makita 40-volt mower is a great mower.
it is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I've not heard too many complaints about that. The first
yeah,
Makitas that came out when they went from their 18-volt to the two 18-volt batteries in it, or the
36
four
volt.
18-volt batteries in
Yeah.
it. I wasn't overly impressed.
Yep.
They were certainly sprouting on about how good they were.
Yeah.
But once they brought out the more recent mowers, the better 36-volt ones and the 40-volt one, it's worth considering.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, yeah, look, I'm happy to be a well, I think something. What do you call it? So the term has been used before, being a brand slut if I have to be to get the right machine for the right application.
Yeah. Well, just check out Monster Mowing. Monster's tried them all.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to look into it. Like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, obviously, what's that? That other big one that's going around at the moment. A lot of Ego. Yeah, I've been willing to consider them. Like, yeah, I don't know where I'd buy them from. Yeah, I haven't seen them.
Well, I've been using a lot of Ego gear lately, and
Yeah.
I'm working with Ego. Barry from Ego is great, so I'll definitely give them a thumbs up. The Select Cut that I'm using is awesome.
Yeah.
For you might find a little bit of an issue because they don't cut very low.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you want a low cut, then the Ego's not the best choice for you.
Yeah.
But outside of that, they are really nice.
What are the Makita like with a low cut?
I don't know.
You don't know that. Okay.
Look up Monster Mowing. He's in the Australian Professional Contractors group.
Yeah.
And he posts there pretty regularly. So if you look him up or even shoot him a message, his name's Jason. Shoot him a message and say, what's the Makita like for cutting low? Or what's your best recommendation for a battery mower that cuts low? Because he's invested the time in testing them all.
Yeah, right. Okay, there you go.
I love the Ego. Hey, if you haven't seen Monsters Mowing's social media, look it up because it is hot and he's got a lot to say about battery gear. I do too. So I'm going to take this time to recommend you look up the latest lineup of Ego commercial battery tools. I've been using a few of them now, and I must say that they are some of the best commercial battery range available on the market as we speak. So go check them out at your big box tool stores and see if your local mower shop stocks them as well, because there are now quite a few mower shops stocking Ego. Do you remember what we were talking about? I can't remember if we were still talking about the height of cut with Vassallo. Or
we were talking about we're reaching out to Monster.
Yeah, that's it, Monster.
Yep, about trying out how he tried out different machines and see what works with bowing lower. So
yes. Yeah, so that's it. Reach out to him. I know he doesn't listen to the podcast, so you're going to have to reach out to him. He won't hear this.
Yeah, no, all good.
We could talk smack about him.
Might get back to him from somebody else, though.
No, he's a good bloke. Yeah. If you're listening, Monster, you're a good bloke.
But no, that's the other thing I was thinking when we're trying to sort this connection issue out, is that I don't know how mulching would go for my lawns being regularly irrigated too, though. It's like obviously my grandmother's isn't irrigated. She just hand waters, but but unfortunately, even with that, it's just, even though as good as it's looking now, that's gone off just rainwater at the moment because she's fighting cancer at the moment, so she's what do you call it, getting what is it, immunotherapy or whatever they call it. So,
immunotherapy, immunosuppressants or whatever it might be.
So what do you call it? So it's holding on just based on rainwater at the moment. Pretty much all of my others are all irrigated, including my commercial ones. So
I do think mulching is not a problem when you're irrigating.
Yeah.
I think there's, just looking at different types of lawn, I think the bigger problem is if you overdo it with nitrogen.
Yeah,
then that's where you're likely to get a lot of thatch. And mulching typically doesn't increase your thatch.
Absolutely not. It breaks down.
It does typically increase the nutrients in your soil. So I had a chat with Wally Pearce from ICL. And I'm going to follow up with a couple more episodes with Wally, but we had a good chat about mulching. So you're returning the clippings to the soil and also using.
I want to give you an update on the Ego commercial pole hedges. The short pole hedger has a fixed head, which makes it a lot like the standard handheld hedger, quite nimble and great for shaping small hedges and topiary. The standard pole hedger has the articulating head that I thought I might be able to swap onto the short pole hedger. I've had a closer look and I found that this does not work. Even if you took the liberty to modify the mounting, the articulated lever would catch on the handhold, so it's really not possible, sorry.
As well.
Overall, both these hedges do a great job on hedges, and I have found the blade speed, shaft drive rather than a direct drive, and the runtime all make for a great commercial package. They are replacing my previous hedges, and they are the best I have used.
Yeah.
I have found in my area where you've got a variety of lawns, so you've got the really rubbish lawns and you've got the really high-end lawns. The well-looked after lawns are impervious to weeds. So even when you're bringing weeds in from your mower from doing another job, not a problem. The lawns where they're patchy,
that's where you're going to have more of the issue with. Definitely.
They are likely to accuse you of bringing the weeds in, but guess what? It's not you.
So I remember years ago I did a favour for a friend and I should have said no. She got told by a pest inspector to get rid of the mulch because it's encouraging. It can encourage termites. She asked me to come in and remove all the mulch. Righto. Removed all the mulch, and then of course you can guess what happened once the mulch was removed.
Yep.
I got blamed for it.
Yeah, of course.
There's weeds everywhere. Why didn't you tell me? What do I need to tell you? I came in and did you a favour. I didn't charge you for it. I removed the mulch because you told me to remove the mulch.
Yep.
You didn't replace it with anything. What the heck do you think's going to happen?
This is where, if you're Luke Smith, you're like, this is the perfect time to upsell. You want to buy some barricade applications.
And that's what I just, I don't get that, someone who's qualified in one industry then knows what they know, but then they roll into what they don't know and just blame it on, blame it on the mulch. It's like no different to plumbers. That pipes full of roots. Oh, it was the tree with the roots. Tree roots don't have hands. They can't break. They find a weak spot that's already there where the water's coming out but they know the pipes have got water because what happens? Water passes through and it's on the other side. So it knows there's a water source there. It doesn't break the pipe. It just finds the breaks. But we'll blame the tree so it doesn't look like the pipe failed. No, pipe failed. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah. I think that the mulch one is an interesting one, right? Because mulching your garden beds is one of the best things you can do. But there are known issues with mulch. And I've found the previous house I was living in had the pest guy come round and sprayed under the house, sprayed in the house, sprayed in the ceiling cavities, trying to get rid of cockroaches.
Yeah.
And it didn't make a lick of difference. In fact, the next day it seemed like there was more cockroaches running through the house than the previous day.
Yeah, right.
I let it go for 12 months and got him back, and I was like, oh, you know what? The cockroaches didn't go away. And he's like, oh, you should have told me because I've got a warranty on the product.
Oh, yeah.
And so he did this application 12 months later, and I called him back 2 weeks later, and I said, the cockroaches haven't gone away.
Yeah.
So he came back, and he went over it again, right? So under warranty.
Yeah.
Went through the ceiling and under the house, dusted for cockroaches, the full treatment. Didn't make a lick of difference.
Yeah.
So I grabbed some insecticide, mixed up a batch. Totally wrong thing to do, right? Anybody listening, don't do this.
Yeah.
And I went around the house in the mulch in the garden beds, and I totally nuked the garden beds with insecticide.
No. Yeah.
And then I went under the house. And as I was going around under the house, spraying this insecticide under the house, I hit a spot where there was a nest of cockroaches. And as I hit it, the cockroaches just went everywhere. And so I just sat there and dumped 5 litres of insecticide on that spot. And I didn't have any cockroach problems for 12 months.
Yeah, right. There you go. Yeah. But that's...
all the native cockroaches in the mulch, sorry.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's... you get them in to do their job, to protect you against what else is going on, and and that's the other thing, like people telling people, you shouldn't have a garden bed up against the house. Where else do people put them? You've got to find a way to manage that. Tell people don't, cover it, build up their soil and their mulch all the way up to the weep holes, stuff like that. Not only just for, for the moisture of getting in, but also so you give that protection of anything else going up the wall. So you can see if they travel up the wall,
That's
you can see that track as well. It's like I remember, what do you call it, paying a guy a fortune to do a thermal inspection of my grandparents' place, and then but then told my brother who's a carpenter, he goes, dude, I could show you a million ways that would have saved you all that money to find out whether you got what do you call it, termites without doing a digital thermal inspection. It's like, and got on Facebook, Google, and showed me trails and everything else. He goes, just go around and look for these. They're going to be there. If they're there. So it's like,
I've had termites in my house this year, and it's a horrible experience. And I noticed activity in my kitchen.
Yeah, right. Wow.
And when I saw that, initially I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh no, that's termites. And then I went under the house, and there was a track coming up under the house, straight in under the kitchen.
Yeah.
So it's been a long process of getting treatments done, and I'm still waiting for the final inspection to say, it's clear.
Yeah,
and then deal with the cleanup. Do you pull walls apart? Or do you ignore it? The house is still standing. It doesn't seem like it's about to fall down, so better off just covering up the damage and hiding it.
100%. 100%.
So, it's not fun. But like you say, the track was found.
Yeah.
Easy. Okay. And it was so massive.
Yeah. Well, that's what my brother pointed out. It's not something that you can miss. You'll see it, so...
Once they find a spot where they've got a food source and they've got water, the track was as thick as my arm.
Yeah, right. Wow, there you go.
Couldn't miss it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyway, that's not a fun story, but it's a true story.
It's unfortunately they can do some damage, that's for sure.
Yeah. And like you say, you go back to, you can do stuff around your house. You just make sure that those points where you can check for tracks and the weep holes, those sorts of things, you make sure you keep them clear.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Well, that's it. I think I had one place where I was mulching, and we did call it customer. I was always making sure it was nice and low. Customer had a cat who used to like to use one spot to always go to the toilet, and they got an pest inspector to come through, and he'd noticed that one spot where the cat would kick the mulch and it built up against the wall. Every time I'd grab my rake and I'd rake it back. I'd learnt his habit, so every visit I'd be raking it back. So obviously the cat had done it between me coming and him coming. So he tried to badmouth me about, oh look, your gardener's putting your mulch up too high. She's going, no, she hasn't. He told me about this, and I know he's very active with making sure it's not. Where was the spot? He took it to the spot. She goes, that's my friggin' cat.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So then she told me about it. I was like, well, he could clearly see everywhere else, but that one spot mulched low. So why the heck is he trying to, turn around and say the mulch is a problem when you can clearly see it's one little spot? So it could have even been water for all he could have known that could have caused that one spot to end there. He should have known that it's actively being kept well and truly lower than, the weep holes.
But slinging mud at you makes him look good, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Except in this situation where he got called out for it.
Yeah, definitely, So, and that's it. I try to even keep, try to find the foundation as well, because, I see that as your next barrier, is your foundation. So I even try and keep lower than that, even if I have to batter, the garden bed down at the back. Yeah. To make sure that occurs, because obviously, sometimes people do have garden beds that have been built up that you can't do nothing about. So I'm quite actively, I look, all right, we can't change the whole garden bed, but that back of it needs to be battered down to make sure it's lower than that point.
I talked to somebody else about this issue with putting mulch in garden beds and the need to actually batter the edges of a garden bed. If you're putting mulch just on top of previous mulch or a garden bed that's raised or where it's next to an edge or whatever, if you don't batter that edge back, then you've got a really thin layer of mulch right at the edge and the weeds come straight through on the edge.
Yeah, and the other problem you have is that it also, can wash away too.
Yes, it washes over the edge and all onto your footpaths, onto your roads, into your lawns.
Oh, yeah, I know. Come on, they've brought out a product now. You can spray pebblers and mulch so it doesn't move. Like, wow.
I know.
Like they're coming up with everything. But yeah, how good is that for the environment? And two, does it stop water from penetrating? They say it's penetrable, but is it really?
I know that's my thoughts. I look at that and I'm like, I want to use it, and then I'm like, hang on a minute, that might not be good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Hey, we've been going for an hour and a half, and I think now is a good time to do a couple of things. So first thing I want to do is ask you about your future plans, and then I want to talk tech talk.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
So your business, you seem pretty happy with it. Would you change anything over the next 12 months or 5 years to improve it, or do you want to maintain the status quo?
To be honest, I'd be happy to just maintain where I'm at. Like, I have never wanted, like, I've got staff that I use when I need. I don't have full-time staff anymore. I did for a little while there. But to me, it's easy to run a business properly with staff. I know people left, right, and centre are going to come out at me at that. But I believe it is very easy for me anyway. But I just never wanted that headache. It goes against the way I built my business, as I've spoken about before. Being able to, if I want to take a day off or a week off or whatever, I don't have to worry about what anyone else is doing. I don't have to worry about whether I need to force my staff to take the same time off, or or to make sure there's enough work for them to do. Which the staff I had, I wouldn't have had any dramas with worrying about would they do the work. I'd found the right staff. I just never wanted that headache. And if what do you call it? I want to change the direction at any stage. I don't have to worry about who I impact.
Fair enough.
So
I'm the exact opposite to you there. In order for my business to function, if I want to take a holiday, I've got to have somebody else there doing the work.
That's fair. Well, my customers know. I've got it set up where I'll disappear for a week or two, and my business is going to be fine. And my customers know if they need to get somebody else in to do one visit, I've got no dramas with that.
Nice.
I might be different there with other people because I'm not threatened.
Yeah.
And if they need it done and I can't be there to do it, like even when, particularly I had that issue when we had all that rain and all I was doing was mowing. I did no gardening at all.
Yeah.
And customers kept going, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. And then they'd tippy-toe of, oh, if you can't do it, we don't want to offend you, but is it all right if we get somebody else to do that bit? We just want them to get, no worries, go for it.
Yeah.
Look, if it really is an issue, I'm happy to pay them to do the work out of my pocket. Yeah. And they were stunned. So no, you're a good customer. I don't, at the moment I haven't got staff, and I wasn't ready for this. It's come out of bloody nowhere. I'm doing the best I can, but I want your whole property, not just your lawns, to look perfect like it always is.
This goes back to the girlfriend analogy. If you're confident and you're qualifying them, they want you.
Yeah,
if you are insecure and threatened by everything, then that's on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And
that's a reflection of you.
Definitely. It's like, if I have to pay them because they're going to be more expensive than getting me, or you feel like you didn't get what you paid for, put it back on me. I'll pay the bill. That's fine. Just get it done. And then when I can do it again, I'll go and do it, So, or if you can wait, great. But I don't want you to have to wait for me. Get someone. And that it really changed some of my customers' perspective of where I was at. And now they come to me, oh, do you mind if this and that? Go for it. Go for it.
Good.
Doesn't bother me. So, I definitely wouldn't change anything. And for me, my plan when I retire is to just close the business down. I have no intention of selling it. Look, all for the guys who do sell it, but I've always been that one. I haven't bought customers. They come to me for me. I don't want to set someone up to think they've paid for something that there's no guarantee they'll keep, because I don't know whether the customer will be happy with it, nor to gain from something from a customer who, that I've sold their details on and their work on. I didn't pay for them. And so that's my perspective. So, my plan will be to close the business down when I finish.
And I think that's a reflection on the type of business you build, right? If somebody wants to build a business to sell it, then they need to build a system. This is what you get.
Yep.
Whereas if you're building a business that is reliant on you, the customer is paying for Guy. Vassallo.
Yeah,
that's
exactly
what they are expecting. They're expecting you, and if they don't get you, then if you turn around and say, "Hey, I've sold you for the highest bid,"
yeah, 100%.
it doesn't work, does it?
And as I said, nothing against guys who do sell. It's not something I would do, but there's no judgment on people, and good on you. But you do hear those sad stories of I paid for 40 customers and I kept 5, and then you hear others that I kept all 40, and that's. But it's it goes into it's no different to buying a second-hand car. You don't know what you're getting, so
yeah, definitely. Hey, that sounds really good. I've been starting to do a question and answer section at the end. Call it tech time, and feel free to tell me to shove it if you don't want to answer a question. I haven't had somebody do that yet, but I don't like making people feel uncomfortable either. So feel free to tell me. No, don't need to answer your
It
question.
takes a lot to get me uncomfortable. I've been told a few times of what is it? TFI?
TMI, too much information?
Sorry. TMI, too much information. So,
Oh, good. So, I want to give people a really good idea of what it looks like to be in your shoes. So we'll start with your gear. You drive around in a ute?
Yep.
With a trailer?
Yeah, I do. That's correct.
Yep. And we already know something about your equipment, but a quick rundown. You use a cylinder mower a lot?
Yep. So the old Scotty. Yep.
You've got you mentioned the rotary mowers that you've been running the mass sports, and you've had Hondas as well.
I've got a 30-year-old. I'm not sure of the. It might be a HUX or something, but it's an old self-propelled 21-inch with old girl. So.
It might be the old Buffalo version.
Maybe. Yep. Possibility.
And you mentioned standard or sit-down zero turn.
So I've got some Toro sit-downs. I've got a Cub Cadet stand-on. Which I trialed a few. When I worked for the boss, we had a Toro stand-on. Back then, I hated it because it was like a walk behind. You had to get it moving before you could engage the PTO. You couldn't just start it first, and I hated it.
That's an odd one, yeah.
I'd never remember, and I'd turn it on, and it wouldn't work. Turn it back off, start rolling, pull it back on again.
That's an odd one.
Yeah.
So I haven't talked to anybody that's been using the Cub Cadet stand-ons, and I'm sure it's it's just a big brand, so it's not like there's anything particularly standout there. But you've chosen it.
I think the problem was that they never used to be in commercial. But I did a lot of research on them, and I got a friend who runs them in the US. And in the US, Cub Cadet, they went out into the market. They did a question. They put out a questionnaire asking, what do you want in a commercial machine? And they got all the answers from a whole heap of people, and we all know that in America it's probably the best place to try and do that sort of thing. And they put out a prototype, let people test it, got feedback, and they said, we like this, we don't like that. So they put out a second prototype. So they took all that on board again, put it back out again, and they got perfect feedback. So they're like, yep, all right, we're getting out in the commercial market, and boom. So I found one of my local dealers here does Cub Cadet. They also do World Born. I've had a World Born in the past.
Yeah.
They're a great entry level thing, but I wouldn't say I'd use them again.
They're not high end.
They're not high end. I think maybe some of them might be when you go up at top end machines, but I wasn't after them for one of them. But they gave me. It's very Cub Cadet gave me a machine for a week to try at the stand-up.
Nice.
Trialed it, loved it. Everyone loves their machines, and I'm sure Skag probably has the best cut. But for me, I just really enjoyed standing on the back of the Cub Cadet.
I don't think Skag actually has the best cut. I think they've got a lot of things they are the best in, but I don't think they've got the best cut.
Yeah, right. Okay.
There you go. Anyway, so so the Cub Cadet, what's the Cub Cadet? What's the deck size?
So the one I've got is a 48-inch.
48-inch?
Perfect.
That's around 25 to 27 horse or?
24, I think
24 horse? Okay, that's good. So good horsepower for a 48.
I'm a light guy. I'm only 72 kilos wringing wet, so I bounce along a lot. They have a 3-setting dampener for the platform.
Okay.
And I found for me that was the best selling point where I could put it up to number 3. So it was really responsive, because I find on some of the machines, really cool. I've now got a Cub Cadet 42-inch tractor as well. It's just, for me, it's just a backup machine just in case. Everything else goes to shit. I've been saying it for years on all the pages. You should have backup machines for your backup machines. That's part of, what do you call it? People I hear, I can't afford it. You can afford it because you can't afford not to make money. Find a way to buy it. Sell your wife, mortgage your house, whatever. Get extra machinery, because that's
You've
how
hit
you
on
create.
something really important there. The fact that if you have downtime, that hurts your business. So
100%. 100%.
And I want to talk about the numbers, but if you're punching along doing $600 a day, and then you've got a week with your mower not able to work, that's set you back $2,500.
Yep, absolutely.
And often a mower shop will set you back 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, and I use the mower shop because I mow lawns. I'm not a mechanic. It's not my area, and I know I will miss things. I don't know how to adjust valves, that sort of thing. I can change oil, change a spark plug, but I don't know how to adjust valves and that sort of thing. And I know those things improve the lifespan of your machine. Mechanic,
so
do
get
my
the mower
work.
shop to do it. Yeah.
Look it after. I've got another machine. Take as long as you want. They love me because I never put pressure on them. I don't go, when's it ready? How long it's going to take? And then harass them. No, if I have to wait 3 weeks, they'll get me in quicker and they can, because I spend more money than, what do you call it? A Joe Blow who just comes in once, forever, and only buys one machine every 15 years. But
the typical residential customer will come in for a service and not want to talk to the shop for another 12 months or 5 years.
100%. So they will fit me in when they can, and there's no expectation there though. And so I've got that as a backup, and that, when I bounce, it took me ages to work out. Instead of just cutting out the PTO when you're not in the seat anymore, it cuts out the engine as well.
Okay, yeah.
Then it has a reset. Here I was thinking there was something else wrong with the machine. So I'd try and start it, think it was the fuel, ran out of fuel, blah, blah, blah. That I'd end up sending the battery flat, trying to start it when I just had to wait for it to reset. If I lift the seat up, put it back down, look at everything for a couple of minutes, how pretty are those flowers, this, that, and then try and start again, boom, up it go. I'd send it back to the dealer a few times to try and work it out. They couldn't get it to do it, because they're not as light as me. They wouldn't bounce out of the seat. And that's what would happen. So going back to the stander, I find, putting it on the highest setting of number 3, for me, bouncing around, I have no issues. I put it at 1 and I'm bouncing around everywhere. So so I found for that, and it was something that really stood out using other machines. I had the same thing, being lighter, I was bouncing around. So for me, I was still feeling, what do you call it, worse for wear, like people talk about when you're sitting down, as comparison to being on a stand-on. But obviously, then the comparison of being on a stand-on, you're also up high, so you go under branches and that, you've got to duck, weave, and that sort of thing. So there's that. There's that trade-off in that sense.
And it is a trade-off, isn't it, between stand-on and sit-down in terms of those various factors. I've been using couple of stand-on mowers recently, and I've been using a sit-down zero-turn or out-front machine for most of my business. And the stand-ons are incredibly good for getting around obstacles really quickly. But if you're going under a branch, I've hit my head.
Yeah, for sure. So then, I've got an old Toro that I bought from a golf range that's got a hydrostatic deck, so it's use a foot pedal to raise the deck.
Nice.
No, sorry, it's not. It's the foot for what do you call it, handbrake, but it's on a switch to raise the deck. Switch and up it comes. So it's got hoses out the front. I posted that one day and people were like, oh, what are those hoses for? It's the hydraulics for the deck. Wow. So it's a nice machine. I've got another Toro. It's a 60-inch with an EFI engine, and the Americans hate EFI engines. I got so much slack when I put a post up of it on what do you call it, an American lawn page. I love it. I have no dramas with it. What do you call it? And then I've got a Hustler as well. So I've got a range of things. So I guess I already am a what do you call it, a brand
every
slut.
brand.
So I remember I put up the Hustler on one of the pages, and I can't remember his name now, but he reached out from Bush Ranger and Hustler, and he was like, oh, look, can we use the photo of your machine on our page, and we'll send you out some stuff. And he didn't have all Hustler, so I ended up with some Bushranger stuff as well. So he gave me a members pack, so that was pretty cool. It wasn't even after that, but he was like, look, I want to use your photo. It's a really good photo. We don't see a lot of Hustlers being put up, so can we use it? Yep, and we'll send you out a package. Like, yep, go for it.
So with your handheld gear, are you running any battery gear yet?
Yep. So I've got a couple of I've got some blowers and that from Makita. I used to run. For me it was always still. So I've got my first battery machine was a battery hedge trimmer. I went top of the range, so I've got the backpack battery. I went right to the top, so I got the 3000, and then the hedger. That was my first introduction into battery. So battery, if I keep it on eco, and I get 3 full cutting days out of the battery.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Yep. The only issue I have with it is obviously you've got the backpack and you've got a cord. Now, I couldn't understand. There were guys coming on about using the cord, and they were talking about within weeks and months breaking the cord. It took me 3 years, and I eventually broke that cord, catching it on things, and ends up snapping. I think it's $200 or $300 just to replace that bloody cord.
Yep.
So for me, that's the downfall. So I think it's great to have, but I still, I need to move on and try other machines, because at this stage, I don't think battery is ready to completely take over from petrol. I think at points I was like, fuck, I need a petrol one again. So I went and bought another petrol steel one to put it back into my thing. I've tested the sound of both of them, and I found the battery one actually is louder than my petrol one. It's a nicer sound, but it's louder with decibels.
Interesting.
So, I see people posting all the time, battery's quieter. I think you need to actually test it and see. I think it can be confused because it's a nicer sound than your petrol engine, but it might not be. And
there's a bunch of factors that are relevant there. I think there's different machines will be different, right? So it still might be different to a Husky, to an Ego, or whatever brand you're talking.
So
but I think the other factor there is when you're running a petrol hedge trimmer, for instance, the motor is pretty close to your ears, whereas with the battery machine, you don't have that 2-stroke noise close to your ear.
Yep, true.
So that would be a factor that I value with the battery gear. The other thing is in terms of power of the machines, I've used Husky and Ego with the battery-powered hedge trimmers.
Yeah.
And I really liked the Husky hedge trimmer I used. It was the short pole hedge trimmer.
Yeah.
I've thrashed that machine and tackled stuff like hedge reductions where you shouldn't be doing it. So I've abused the machine. And it's been 4 or 5 years I've had that one.
Yeah.
It's now at the stage where it's no longer really working properly.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing.
That machine was awesome. And I looked at still, and I went away from still because of that umbilical cord.
Yeah.
It was either the lower end still or go to the Husky, so I didn't have to deal with the umbilical cord. And really happy with the Husky overall. I'm now using the newest Ego hedge trimmer. Yeah. And it's a better machine than what the Husky was. It's just, for me, battery all the way when it comes to my hand tools. It's just streaks ahead of the petrol gear. But like you say, test it properly, test things and come to your conclusions.
And that's the thing. Like, I bought, that's hedge trimmer from Stihl, and then I was, talking to Scott from Footprints afterwards, and he's like, "Oh, you should have came to me. I could have got your Husky, I could have got you this discount." I was like, "Well, kind of got, He was like, "I can get you 20%." I was like, "Well, I got 15% off mine." To be honest though, I could go, listen to you, jump on the Husky, get the extra 5%. But you know what? The dealers that I come across are mainly Stihl, so I'd have to go out of my way to go to a Husky one. So
Well, the other thing there, he's gone to Makita now, and the Makita hedge trimmers rate really well.
He's loving it. Like he talks about them, what do you call it? Like the best thing on the thing. But he's also trying out Greenworks now as well, and a few others. So, but he's in that position where he's approachable by people because he's got that what do you call it? That exposure. And I guess knowing that he's going to be up front and knowing what they're going to get. That if he doesn't like it, he's going to tell it how it is. They know that's coming, and they're willing to take that risk. So
I spoke to him when I first bought the Husky battery gear.
Yeah.
And I think what you'll find, because we're talking back 2018, 2019 is when I started paying attention. He was already using it well and truly.
Yeah, he was full into it then. Yeah.
At that point in time, there was one or two brands that were cutting the mustard, so to speak, with battery gear.
Yeah.
Husky was like the best brand to go for at that point in time. Now, I would say 95% of commercial battery tools are hitting the mark.
Yeah. Well,
whereas back then it was 5%.
But that's the thing, like, you know, after I bought that first one from Stihl, I was paying more attention to Scott, and then I was realizing, you know, that Husky had a larger range, and it's like, and I was thinking, you know, well, a painter, he doesn't just use one paintbrush, and I'm like, well, Stihl are pretty much like use the one paintbrush, you know, you've got one, you know, long hedge trimmer, you've got one short trimmer, and I was looking at everything that Scott was using, and there's all different lengths. And it's like, bloody hell, maybe I should have gone Husky. You know, I like this. But this is good. But now other, what do you call it, manufacturers are starting to jump on board with that. Still aren't. They've gone to telescopic, but they're still not in that middle range. There's nothing in that middle range between your long and your short. There's just, you get longer, but you want something in that in between, and that's what I liked about Husky. And then Scott ended up moving to Makita, and it's like, well, yeah, but and that's again, you know, it seems like a good market. You know, he's definitely going well with that.
Yeah,
so,
you know, I need to chase Scott again, see if I can get him in for an interview.
So then I'll give you. It would be a good interview. I won't miss that. I'd be happy to listen to that one. So now we'll jump on to what whippersnipper I use, and I know I'm going to create some issues here because I'm the opposite. I like weight. So my main one is a 131 from Stihl. I love the weight.
I hate the 131.
I love it. I ran. See, we had the problem of when I was working for the boss, we were running 91s. And then for a little while there, Stihl got rid of the 91s.
Yeah.
So the next one was the new 94. So we got them. We were using them, and we were destroying them because of what we're trying to use them for. They being back to the two-stroke technology, they were not handling what we were trying to do. But they just didn't feel right. Being light, I love feeling that weight, and I can go days and days trimming and whipping with a 131 because I'm used to it. And I like that feel. I go back to it. I bought I was desperate and I needed an extra whip, so I bought a 94 for my business. I used it twice. It now sits in the cupboard. Never used it again. I hate it that much. I won't even try and sell it or give it to somebody. It will just stay there as a reminder of my mistake. And
I've got like 3 or 4 94s because I used to be a Stihl fanboy. I was like everything Stihl. And then when it came to battery gear, I was like, well, I'm sorry, Stihl, but you don't have good battery gear. And this is 5 years ago. So give them credit. They're getting there now. But at that point in time, I was like, I'm going to Husky because they got the best battery gear. And the FS94s, the 3 or 4 of them that I've got, most of them are really nice to operate. One of them just gets a vibration in the shaft or somewhere, and it's really annoying. But I've noticed, like you, the lighter weight whippersnippers, when particularly petrol machines where you get a bit of vibration, the lighter weight actually cause more issues with tennis elbow.
Yeah, right. Okay, there you go.
So the heavier machines, less issues with your elbow.
They balance themselves out.
Yeah. So I grabbed a 131 as well.
Yep.
And I've gone the opposite to you. I'm like, no, I heaps prefer the 94. It's so much nicer to use. The 131's a piece of... And the 131, don't get me wrong, if I'm doing anything that's a little bit thicker and overgrown, I'll go to the 131 instead of the 94. But the 131 I find terrible for managing throttle control when you're doing vertical edges and those sorts of things. I hate it.
It takes practice. I struggled for a little while, and I was making wider gaps, and I was like, fuck, have I made a mistake? But I was like, nah, I'm gonna press on because I have no other option. They had, I didn't have the 91 to fall back on at the time, so I was like, I've just got to push through with this. I didn't want to go to the 110. I just didn't like that middle thing. I was just like, I'm going to go all there. So I think the 110 I've heard, I think is almost the same weight or the same power, one or the other. I can't remember, but anyway. So 130 was for me, and it took me about 3 weeks of just persisting, and then eventually now, So when it comes to maintain lawns, doing them every week, I just fly through them with it.
Nice.
I've got an Adam edger, but I don't like. It's just one extra piece of gear I've got to get off the trailer, use it, then swap to the whip. So now I just use the whippersnipper, and occasionally I'll get the Adam out just to use it.
Yeah.
But, which was lucky though. I had with the Adam edger, 14 months after I'd bought it, and I'd only used it like 5 times. The engine seized on it.
Oh, no.
So I took it back, and I was like, shit, I'm going to get told it's 14 months old. They're not going to cover it. And then, but the first question out of them was, what ratio of fuel are you using? And I said, well, just look at my fuel. I said, I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to give an answer. I'm going to tell you, look at the fuel. Tip it out. You look at what it looks like. Oh yeah, looks good. So it's not the oil usage because it's only a 2-stroke one. And they were like, oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, we'll look into it for you. You know, you're a good customer. We'll look into it. I said, you can see it's still bloody brand new. I barely used it. So, surely you can get it in under warranty. My stupidity, I didn't run it in more because of this reason. But ended up getting a brand new engine under warranty. So they didn't think I was going to, but they said they went to bat for me because I was a good customer, and they ended up getting it out of them. So it's the Komatsu engine or whatever it is, the Honda one. Yeah. So, the Japanese one rather than...
Yeah, they're usually really good engines.
Yep. So, and I've used it a few times since. And I just don't like, they're very temperamental at starting when they're cold. So you got to feather the choke to get them going once they're going.
Yeah.
But I've found with Adam edges, with the 2-strokes, no matter which one, they've always been a little bit fingernicky to start. Yeah. So it's probably another reason why I've just gone to stick with the whippersnipper.
I bought a second-hand Adam edger from Sydney. I just found one on, it would have been Gumtree back in the day, or eBay.
Yeah.
And it was cheap, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a try. And I've never had a problem with the 2-stroke engine. It's the red commercial machine.
Yeah.
It's probably similar engine to yours. I've never had a problem like that. I've had to replace the little fuel bubble to prime it. I've trashed that machine and abused it.
Yeah.
But I rarely use it myself. And just recently I've got a stick edger.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of stick edges actually, but usually I'd find I'd go back to just using the whippersnipper.
To me they look odd, the stick. I don't know.
Well, what I've found with previous stick edges I've used, so one is multi-tool with the petrol engine, the other one's multi-tool with the battery. And both of them just been a little bit underpowered for stick edges, like when you're using a blade. So starting the blade in thick grass, that sort of stuff, you got to get it up in the revs and then drop it in.
Yeah.
Whereas now I've just got the brand new Ego stick edger.
Yeah, right.
It's got power.
Yeah, okay.
It absolutely rips it through. I can do because I do a commercial site where there's a lot of edging. I can just rip through that edging probably in about 10% of the time it takes to do it with a nylon cord.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, fair enough.
For that, it's worth it. And if I'm doing an overgrown edge with it, because it's got that extra grunt that the other ones didn't have, it just makes it so easy to really get a nice quick edge where it's been a little bit overgrown. And
for sure.
I'm using it more now because of that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Each to their own. I'm like you for a lot of years, just like I prefer using the nylon cord. You had a nice thin edge straight through. But
yeah, that's fair. So, and that's the other thing I don't like about, because I've got the combi still. The one thing I've found as a letdown with the combis is that I'm forever having to change the both the wing nut to lock it and that plastic sleeve from changing heads.
Yeah.
Because I change from the if I'm running that, I'll have both the whippersnipper head and the head trimmer. So I'm constantly changing and sometimes I'll disconnect it completely to store it, and I find I'm constantly replacing those. So that's one thing I've had a fight with still over that they need to look at. So, but I don't know what the other brands are like in that sense, but that's definitely an issue that I've had that has been a problem from the word go.
I'm not a massive fan of the combi tools for that reason. I much prefer dedicated tools most of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
I know there's a lot of contractors that are like, start with a combi tool because you get 5 tools for the price of one, or, not much more than the price of one. So it makes sense in that regard to get started at a cost-effective way of starting a business. But for me, I've gone battery gear on whippersnippers and hedge trimmers and blowers and everything like that. I've just gone all in with the battery gear, and I've found that dedicated tools are just better tools.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I'll definitely agree with you there.
Yeah. So I think we've covered your tools. Let's talk about money. And like I said, tell me you don't want to share, but I like to talk about the hourly rate, the day rate.
I'm happy to do that. I just don't like how with the backlash you get when you start talking about those things. But on my sense, I don't care. It's fine on my end.
Yeah. So I look at those various different measures because I think if you tell everybody you did $2,000 in one day, but your annual turnover is $50,000, then it doesn't make a lot of sense to just brag about the one side of it. So if we cover a few different things, what do you aim to do? And I know we all like to talk about our best day, but where do you sit?
Yeah, well, for me, if I'm making 500 a day, I'm happy. What do you call it? And that's the thing. Like, when I was working for the boss, I was before tax, I was bringing home 900 a week. And so, for me, I was like, if I can make that, then that was my goal. If I can make that, after I paid everything out of the business a week, I was happy with that because I didn't have all that extra bullshit of working for somebody else. To me, that was my monkey on the back.
So you're in front.
Anything else. Yep, absolutely.
Pay your expenses and financially in front of where you were, then it's worth doing.
Yep, absolutely. Well, other people go, oh, but you've got to pay for all that and you've got to do all this. That's fine, but I don't care about having to do all that. Even if it does seem like I'm not making more for doing it, I don't have that boss. I don't have this and I don't have that. I'm doing it all for myself. And if I want to take a day off, I argue with myself about it.
So what you're telling me is the number one reason for you to be in business is because your lifestyle is better as a result of being in business.
100%. I remember being, I'd want a day off and, I'd been there forever and I'd ask for the day off and he'd say no because he wanted me there. But then you have a bloke who'd only been there 3 weeks would ask for a day off because his kid is sick and he gives it to him. I get kid is sick, but, why is it that I want to take it off to go and, do something for myself is when I've done everything for you is a flat out no all the time, but you'll give him off just because it's for his kid, even though he's only been here for 3 weeks.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
I just couldn't get it, So definitely for me, it's better lifestyle, and I find I love it. I've working for myself. It's worked. I know how to do it. I've done. What do you call it? I did a small business management course years and years ago. I've done all these courses, and I talk about the courses I've done, and people go, "How have you done all that?" I did night courses. So I went to work and then I did night courses. So I was able to get a lot more done in a short period of time. I do a night course on a Tuesday. I do a night course on a Thursday or whatever. And I do 2 courses at once. And I got all these courses behind me because I could do it. I hated high school. But when I'm doing courses that I'm passionate about.
And I see this all the time, right? If we're talking business goals.
Yeah.
You listen to the American podcasts or the American YouTubers talk about having employees and doing snow season and, $1 million turnover or $10 million company or whatever it is. They have a strong focus on the high end, on the business goals, on achieving this, and they pay their employees $15.
100%. 100%.
Right? In Australia, the predominant thing I see from lawn care businesses is, hey, I'm in business because it's better being in business. But it's not about being the biggest business I can be. It's about making sure that the change from being an employee to being in business gives me a benefit, lifestyle benefit, slight financial benefit. But a lot of people balk at putting on an employee, or like me, go between, I want employees, I want to grow the business and go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. I really want the lifestyle. I want the less stress. I want I want to grow the business. And I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, for sure. So, and that's the thing, like, I've had days where, I'll make $2,500 in a day. I've had days I've made $150 in a day, It all balances out. It depends on what you're doing, But $500 would be, if I'm making $500 a day, I'm happy.
And this is why I ask people, I'm like, okay, if you say you make $2,500 in a day, that's good.
Yeah.
But if you turn over $15,000 a month, that's a much better indicator of where you're at,
100%.
rather than talking about your best day.
Yeah, exactly right, exactly. And that's why when I talk to people, I go, look, yep, I've had these massive days, but then I've had this $150 day that's also there. And then you look at, what did I make for the week, or what did I make for the month, and it balances out, like, what do you call it? And that's the thing. I reduced my mows to fortnightly in winter, so of course my winter's going to look different to my summer.
Definitely.
So but that's where it all balances out.
And that's where your lifestyle and your mental health balance out too.
Exactly right. Exactly. Yep. For sure.
Yeah. Well, I've been really happy talking to you. It's been awesome to talk to somebody who's got a lot of similar ideas to me.
There you go.
Love an echo chamber.
Yeah. So it's very rare you can find someone on the same wavelength. So
Well, I particularly love talking about weekly cuts and and also that balance between lifestyle and business goals. I think those two things we really see eye to eye on. So it's great.
I picked up the Right Stander Eye 42-inch demo machine. It backed into my black van and looked rather cosy in there. Once using it, I found it nice and nimble and really easy to manoeuvre. Being small, agile and light means that moving your body weight around really gives you increased traction on the drive wheels and turning ability in tight spots. The Aero Core deck delivers a great cut, and I'm about to test it with the Catch Pro.
There we go.
Yeah, so we've had a good chat. We've been on the line for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, right. There you go.
And I was just saying, I really appreciate talking to you. It's a great echo chamber for me, but it's good to hear your story.
Oh, yeah. Look, for me, it's a little different than having people disagree with me all the time. So it's a bit of fresh air, I suppose. So
it's good value, and I think even though people do things differently to you or I, everyone has a different take on business. It's good to actually get that and hear from different people. And
100%.
People will still want to do what you do, even though a lot of people might argue with you.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I've always had that attitude that knowledge is useless unless you pass it on. You can have all the knowledge in the world and you can use it for yourself, but it gains absolutely nothing if you don't pass it on. And I'll what do you call it? Forever be willing to give my 2 cents to anyone to get a different perspective on things. And you know what? If they use it, great. If they don't, well, that's up to them. But at least I've had that opportunity to share what I've got to offer, with other people. And I'm not always going to be right either. I'm happy. I'm like anyone. I can get defensive at times. When I'm I'm tired or I'm angry or something's not going right. But
I think it's human nature to become a little bit defensive and go into self-protection.
100%. But I'll if I get to those points, later on I'll go, oh shit, what, he might have had a point, and but I'm one of those people. I'll eat my words and I'll go, hey mate, look, I might have been a bit, unreceptive at the time, but I've gone away, had to think about it, and you know what, you've actually got a fair point there, and I apologise. So I can eat my what do you call it, humble pie. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, Guy, look, I really appreciate getting you on the podcast, getting you in the dungeon here. It's been awesome.
It's a little bit scary in the corners, in the dark there, but otherwise it's been a great experience.
Yeah, I've turned the lighting down now as we're wrapping up, so it's starting to get a little bit more creepy.
Yeah.
But I just want to say thanks. Really appreciate your time talking to us. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that appreciate hearing your story in more detail, even if they disagree with some things.
Yeah, no, all good. I said, I find more joy in people disagreeing with me, so it's all good. But thanks for having me. I hope someone does get something from it.
They will.
Yeah, so
even if they get told one more time, you should be cutting weekly. It's good.
That's the thing. I think that's the beauty of it. You can do whatever you want with something, and you'll get the results that you put into it. So I'll enjoy my weekly cuts, and I guess, and that's the other thing. I do defy even people in Sydney. Most will say that in Sydney they go back to monthly cuts in winter, and my lawns only fall back to a fortnightly cut.
And that's awesome. I don't do that, but that is awesome.
it surprises me sometimes. I go, well, sugar, I thought that one would have been less. And, sometimes I go, I wish it was less, In a really good growing season going into winter, I actually have had to use PGR in winter to go on holidays.
Wow.
I was
believe it.
hesitant and I was afraid to do it.
Yeah.
But there was enough still in the lawn that it managed to pull through, and it achieved exactly what I wanted, because there was just so much growth in it that I was like, shit, I go and take a couple of weeks off. It wasn't just a couple of weeks. I was gone for 5 weeks. I went back to Malta for 5 weeks, and that was the push. I didn't want, knowing that my lawn still had enough in it. I knew I come back in 5 weeks. If I don't try this, I'm going to regret it. If I do try it, I might regret it. So I gave it a crack, and it worked. I came back, and they weren't immaculate.
Yeah.
But they weren't what I was expecting I was going to come back to. And my customers were all happy for it, because they didn't want to get mowers out. They were afraid to get somebody else to come and do it, because they didn't want them to do the wrong thing. And so, gave it a crack. And in winter, PGR for me worked. So, and that's in Sydney. So, you wouldn't think it would work, but for me, it works.
Everyone needs to be thinking about winter management strategies. So whatever their choices are, that is a good way to look at it. I'd prefer to take a holiday in winter myself. I'd still try and take a little bit of time off in the middle of summer or over Christmas. But the winter holiday is critical. So if I can take 4 or 5 weeks off in winter, then
for sure.
that really, it's my happy place.
Definitely, Now I take a week off at Christmas. I take a week off at Easter, and then I utilise winter as my time. But obviously, again, I still put that pressure on me, because my lawns want to still be mowed fortnightly. So so I've done a little bit of detriment to myself as well. But I've found, I can use PGR in winter. So But this weather at the moment, it's hard to pick at the moment. You don't know what it's going to do. So, but again, you just gotta roll with it, and that's why I love my grandmother's lawn. As I said, I use it as the testing ground. I try different things and see what will work, and
this is the industry.
Yeah.
This is the industry, right? We've got to be prepared to deal with the unforeseen in our industry, and this is Australia, so expect to see extreme weather conditions in Australia. It's going to be drought, it's going to be floods, it's going to be all of those things.
Exactly right, and that's the thing. We're dealing in a industry that is seasonal. It relies on a lot more than other things, and money for us grows on trees. I surprise people when I say that, and then what? You mean you pull dollars off trees? I said no. Trees grow, grass grows. We cut it. We make money. Grows on trees.
That's right.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. But and that's the thing. But we're in Australia, where nutrients are very naturally very low in the soil. Water is very sparse. So people go, why did the gum tree fall over? What do you call it? And why do the roots not hold it up? Because natives know you're not going to find nutrients going down. You're not going to find water going down. You go looking for it. So it's all within that top 300 mils. We get lots of rain. What happens to all that soil? It gets wet, can't hold up a big tree that's going up into the air. So what happens? It falls over. Okay. Or what do you call it? Natives grow away from power lines, but ornamentals grow towards them. So but just different things that you learn as you go, and you just got to take it with the flow, and just constantly reassess and try new things. So
that's the beauty of our industry, isn't it? You live in a environment where you can learn every day. You can do the 3 days of education that Jim's does, or you can do a full 3-year horticultural certificate.
Look, as I said, I was talking earlier about doing night tape. I think I did my apprenticeship going 2 nights a week for studying, and the first 2 years were really easy. Third year, it was a hot summer. trying to remember, we went from learning 8 plants every 2 weeks to learning 8 plants every week, and it was a struggle. It was a real struggle, but I got through it. So, what do you call it? But I encourage anyone who can get onto a course. I recommend it. There's a lot of good horticultural courses out there. Like I've done parks and gardens, I've done landscape construction. I've done the irrigation course. I've done a few others. And there are some really, really good courses out there. Like even just doing a 1-year horticulture course just to get that Cert 2 will give you that bit of knowledge. That can. And that
gives you the advantage over the next person who's a cowboy.
Well, exactly right. And that's the thing. Like, I could sit here and spit out everything I know, but there's one thing just spitting out, and there's another thing going in and seeing things in person. Having the plants put there in front of you, and get given a whole heap of information about it as well. So then you can understand when to cut it, how to cut it, what to what sort of aspects it likes, and that sort of thing. And it just changes. It just changes everything for you, I reckon. But
definitely.
But I'm sure a lot of people disagree and think that you don't need to get any education in this industry, that you can just buy all the gear and off you go and you'll be sweet. And it does work for some people, but I just think it could take everyone to the next level if they just got a bit of education behind them. But
I guess it depends on the direction you want to take your business, right? If you just want to cut grass, you probably don't need a whole lot of education. If you want to do a lot more in the gardens and be able to give people good advice on, your lawn's dying, then this is the treatment we need to do. The other one you mentioned, irrigation. I wonder how many irrigation certificates are being signed up for because of the dry spell we had.
Look, my biggest problem was when I did the course, I hadn't had a lot of experience in the course. It was another night course, and the idiot teacher, he clearly liked the easy road. So he was drawn to people who had some back knowledge. He didn't have to speak a lot about. So I was constantly, trying to work out, working out the loss of pressure, reading all the charts. For me, I really struggled with that because I'd never dealt with it before. I've dealt with plans with construction and that sort of thing. That's fine. But trying to understand with the conversion, with losing pressure and what heads to use, and that it really went over my head. So all the others were, given these things and go, which head would you need? And I was like, fuck, I've got no idea. So I put my hand up and asked him, and I had him explaining it over and over and over. And that's what I needed. Just needed him to get into my head, repeat it, and eventually it'll stop. He used to ignore me. And I struggled through the course. So I think, again, it comes down to, you need the right people teaching it as well, because otherwise you can go in there wanting to learn, but if you're not getting the right information in the right way, which comes down to, again, which I don't like, schools, because they try and teach every kid the same way, and that doesn't work. That's why we have so many kids fall out, because it's an old school, teach it one way, and that should apply to everyone, but it doesn't. So
I've interviewed Clint Adams from Water Pro down in South Australia. And the thing that stood out that he said to me, there was a bunch of really good content there about running businesses, but the thing that really stood out about irrigation was if you go to an irrigation shop and you say, hey, I've got a customer that wants an irrigation set up, the irrigation shop will help you design the system.
Yeah, but you've got there's a little bit of an issue with that. If they don't feel like they're going to get, a lot of places I've found, if they don't feel like they're actually going to get the sale out of it, they won't help you at all. They've got to feel like they've got to get the sale. There is a couple out there, but again, it comes down to even the person on the day. Some of them, you'll find a place they're really good, 10 days out of a fortnight, and then the other couple of days you'll find someone who won't be like that, and then there's others straight up. If they're not going to get the sale out of you, they don't want to help you at all. So it's a really touch and go even on that.
It's a bit like mower shops, really, isn't it?
It is.
A bit like mower shops. You walk into one mower shop and they really want to look after contractors. You walk into another mower shop and they won't give you the time of day.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I helped my cousin design his irrigation for his lawn, but he ended up then going to the shop, the irrigation shop, and they changed the whole plan on him, and he ended up listening to them, which pissed me off, And
Yeah.
it was
Yep.
the worst thing they did was they took the center one out. And they said, "Oh no, you'll have the
All right.
coverage. You don't need the center one." And I told him,
Yeah.
You always put a center one in, always.
Yep.
Nah. They told me it'll be all good. Sure enough, where do you end up with a dry spot? Right in the middle.
In the center.
They reckon it was going to get the coverage, and it peed me off. And he was like, "Oh, I should have listened to you, but what do you call it? They do this every day." I said, "Yeah, they do it every day, but at the same time, if you get, there's certain things. Look, there was a couple of things they covered that I didn't, and I was like, okay, yep, great.
Yeah.
But the worst part was that I really wasn't happy with was they took out the center one and said you'll be right, and you take out the center one, then there'll be more pressure for the rest of the heads, and it'll cover that. It was never going to cover it. So
I listened to somebody else talking about irrigation this week,
Yeah.
and they were saying that there's two schools of thought. One is full coverage. No, I've lost you again. So, full coverage from sprinkler to sprinkler means that they full overlap, whereas otherwise you can go to meeting halfway and going, okay, allow for a little bit of overlap instead of full overlap.
Thank you for listening to Aussie Lawn Stars. Please remember to rate and review the show on the Apple Podcasts app or the player you use. Exciting new shows are released every Monday. Make sure you follow or subscribe to hear the next episode.